Honorable Helena Idrisu informed me personally. In fact, he had wanted to do it yesterday, and I said yesterday was not appropriate. But as to whether he involved the leadership, that is another thing. He informed me personally. So let's take a cue from it. A member can come under Ordinance 3. He needs to inform the speaker, and he needs to involve the leadership. It's important so that nobody is taken unawares, or we become ambushed in this circumstance. So, with regards to this particular issue, I'm directing the Minister for Transport to appear before the House on the 19th, that is next week, Tuesday, to come and address this particular issue, because the airport company cannot sit by themselves and say they are increasing charges, fees and charges on their own. So that is my directives. Please, let's carry it out. 19th, the Minister for Transport should appear before the House to respond to these issues.
Prestea Limited was the holder of mining leases in and around Prestea and Bogoso, with some of the leases dating back to 2001. On 26 July 2020, Golden Star entered into an agreement with Future Global Resources, FGR, to sell all its shares in the company to FGR, subject to regulatory approvals. On the recommendations of the Minerals Commission, a no objection was given by the then Minister, Honorable Kweku Asomachremi, on 30th September 2020, in accordance with Section 52 of the Minerals and Mining Act 2006, Act 703, for FGR to acquire the interest of Golden Star in the mine. That same day, FGR became the owner of the Prestea Bogoso mine. By the said takeover, FGR assumed all the rights and liabilities of Golden Star Limited. Mr. Speaker, the terms of the takeover agreement are essentially made up of obligations, covenants, representations, warranties, and guarantees by the parties to each other, leading to the closure of the agreement, including the terms of payment, delivery of documents, and the taking of possession of the mine by FGR. However, as part of the request for a no objection, FGR submitted a funding proposal where the company committed to inject capital to develop and expand the mine, with a focus on extending the existing underground mine, assessing the potential of additional discoveries, and exploitation of sulfide resources. Mr. Speaker, the company has, however, had some challenges in injecting the requisite capital, and the operations of the mine has come to a halt due to the disconnection of power to the mine. The ministry is working with all relevant stakeholders to ensure that the mine is revamped as soon as possible. Mr. Speaker, let me assure my good friend, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Prestea Huni Valley, the chiefs and people of Prestea Huni Valley, and this august House, that just as we did with the Obuasi mine, which was put under care and maintenance, and the Bibiani mine, which had been dormant for 7 years, government will work to revamp the Prestea mine and secure the employment of its workers. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, the board chair of the Minerals Commission, Honorable Barbara Otin Jesse, has been on me, the ministry, and other stakeholders for a workable and lasting solution to this long-standing challenge, so as to revamp the local economy of Prestea Huni Valley and thereby create jobs. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable, could you any supplementary question?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, approval to the ministry to enable them, according to them, to enable them raise more capital from the New York Stock Exchange. I have written to the Attorney General for some legal advice, and therefore, if I was to make any statement which is prejudicial to the processes which are ongoing, I think it would be unfair. So I will leave it at that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Matters which are very much on the front burner, and these are matters which have far-reaching commercial and legal implications in terms of what I say in this House. And Mr. Speaker, I want to say that the Minerals Commission has been very much up and doing in terms of its monitoring responsibilities, except to say that when a mine gets into these kinds of difficulties and the minister is called upon by law to take a decision in terms of the way forward, and some of the decisions could be, say, terminating the lease or approving the proposal that they brought for injection of capital to revamp the mine. At this particular stage, Mr. Speaker, it is always better to be circumspect in terms of what you say, because these are life matters, and these are matters that could be construed as prejudicial in terms of the statements I make in this House. Mr. Speaker, when the Obuasi mine was put under care and maintenance, just as the FGR mine is put under care and maintenance in 2016, I want to believe that it was not necessarily because the Minerals Commission at the time did not do its work. When the BBAD mine was put under care and maintenance sometime in 2014, it was not because the Minerals Commission did not do its work. The running of mines are complicated, and I will crave the indulgence of Mr. Speaker, my colleague, the Member of Parliament in this House, to give me time to plow through these complicated issues and be able to come to a solution or a conclusion which will be in the interest of the country, in the interest of the community, and in the interest of all the actors at play. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much.
I think my honourable colleague, I'm not going to comment on the statement he's made and what is happening to gold that is produced and so on and so forth. Mr. Speaker, those with the greatest of respect could be a simplistic way of looking at how mines are operated. And I want to say that we should be circumspect in terms of the categorical statements we make, because these may have far-reaching implications in terms of the reputations of the actors involved. Mr. Speaker, there have been several petitions lodged to my office. That is correct, and I agree with him on that. As I said in my response, the former Member of Parliament for Pristia Univali, the Honourable Mrs. Barbara Otinjesi, has been at the forefront of this struggle, Mr. Speaker. She literally sleeps in my office over this matter. And she herself has lodged petitions, she's been engaging stakeholders, and she's been working around the clock to get this mine revamped and to find solutions to this situation in order to, as I say, revamp the economy of that enclave. Mr. Speaker, let me assure my friend in this House that we will continue to do everything possible to ensure that in the not too distant future, just as we did with the BBAD mine, just as we did with Obuasi mine, just as we are bringing about new mines in the country such as Cardinal Namdi in the Upper East, Azuma Resources in the Upper West region, and just as we are revolutionizing the mining industry and bringing about a new paradigm of adding value to our mineral resources, which is indeed unprecedented. When it comes to FGR Bogoso, the Speaker, we will get it sorted out and get it sorted out in due course. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
Resources, the kind of steps being taken to regulate sand winning in Ketu South, and plans to reclaim the affected communities in the Koglu area of Ketu South.
Mr. Speaker, permit me to first of all thank the highly respected Member of Parliament for Ketu South constituency for asking this very important question, Mr. Speaker, for it has far-reaching, debilitating consequences on the landscape and environment of our country.
See, the funny thing is, we walk around thinking it's our right to electricity.
Isn't it?
It's not a right, it's a privilege.
I see.
It becomes a right when you are paying.
Aren't we paying?
Some are paying, others are not.
No, but
some are paying, others are not.
Don't lump it together. You're just lumping everything together, and it's not a privilege. It's a right because we've paid for it.
That's the truth. That's what I'm saying. Some, I said it earlier, some are paying, others are not. Others have tampered with the meter. It's not reading right. Someone has had a prepaid meter that he's been paying only a certain set amount every single month. It's not possible. See, the funny thing is, we walk around thinking it's our right to electricity.
Isn't it?
It's not a right, it's a privilege.
I see.
It becomes a right when you are paying.
Aren't we paying?
Some are paying, others are not.
No, but
some are paying, others are not.
Don't lump it together. You're just lumping everything together, and it's not a privilege. It's a right because we've paid for it.
That's the truth. That's what I'm saying. Some, I said it earlier, some are paying, others are not. Others have tampered with the meter. It's not reading right. Someone has had a prepaid meter that he's been paying only a certain set amount every single month. It's not possible. You see, the funny thing is we walk around thinking it's our right to electricity.
Isn't it?
It's not a right. It's a privilege.
I see.
It becomes a right when you are paying.
Aren't we paying?
Some are paying, others are not.
No, but
Ghana and Ivory Coast, the comparison has been going on for a while. Darkness in Ghana, light in Ivory Coast. Projects in Ghana delaying, projects in Ivory Coast going on. Your opponents say Ouattara is better than Mahama. And that's why Ghana and Ivory Coast as neighbors seem to have the situation where Ivory Coast is a better country. You are in a better place to tell us that you've been to Ivory Coast. They actually gave you a national award. You know about the ECOWAS situation. Why are we lagging behind Ivory Coast?
You used a very wrong word, lagging behind. We're not lagging behind Ivory Coast. And I normally don't like to compare, but we definitely are not lagging behind Ivory Coast. If you take the UN Human Development Indicators, aside from Cape Verde, Ghana is second in the whole of West Africa in terms of access to water, in terms of, all the various human indicators that are given. Ghana is second. If you take the size of economy, Ghana has the second largest economy. Cote d'Ivoire is third. Like
Ghana
I said,
is second after Nigeria?
Yes, after Nigeria. Ghana has the second largest economy in West Africa. And so I normally don't like those comparisons because each country is at a different stage in its development. And the circumstances in each country are peculiar.
But until recently, they had light, we didn't have light.
Well, Cote d'Ivoire has gone through its own period when they didn't have lights. We've had to exchange power. At times when they don't have, we have given them. At times when we don't have, they give us. And so it's not something new. Since the 70s, our two power systems have been interconnected with each other. Ghana had a Kosombo, which we thought would never, finish. And so we had excess power. And so we used to give Togo, Benin, we used to give Cote d'Ivoire. Unfortunately, the results of climate change have changed things. And aside from that, it's a sign of our growing economy. Our economy has grown so fast that demand for power has ballooned. And we had not been consistent in putting in, enough generation to meet the demand. Aside from that, while demand was increasing, power from our hydro sources has been going down because of the low level of the lake, because of climate change, less rainfall and all that. So it's been a very complex situation, but I normally don't want to place blame. I took responsibility to fix it, and I believe that we do have some stability in our system now. Indeed, we're going into the era of energy security because with...
So you haven't fixed it yet?
We fixed it. We're going into the period of energy security. I mean that the period where we can suffer no such reversal.
When will that period start?
From 2017.
January 2017?
No, with the 10 field, I went and turned about for the 10 field. Sometime next year, we should see about another 70 million standard cubic feet of gas, coming into Etuabo. And then end of 2017, the ENI field will start. And sometime in 2018, we should have 150 million standard cubic feet of gas.
So by the end of 2017, we should be fully energy sufficient?
By the end of 2017, we should be energy sufficient. By end of 2018, we should have excess power to be able to export that power. Because by 2017, we'll have about 70 million standard cubic feet from the 10 fields. By 2018, we'll have 150 million standard cubic feet of gas from the ENI field. The total subscription we have in the West African gas pipeline is 120 million standard cubic feet. So it means ENI is going to give us much more gas than we have subscribed for from
So we'll have enough gas to power our plant?
So we'll have enough gas to power our thermal plants. We'll even still need additional gas if we can get it. And so all the other work that is going on is important towards making sure that we have enough gas.
And all
if
of
you take Jubilee and 10 and ENI together, we're talking, of about 300 million standard cubic feet of gas.
And all of these...
And that should produce about another 2,000 megawatts of power, in addition to what we're producing already. Already we're producing a little over 2,000 megawatts. And so if you add another 2,000, that's 4,000 megawatts. That's far more than Ghana needs.
So we should look at all of that and call it Mahama Duam?
No, we all do.
Cause of Dumsor, and Dumsor has been caused by the financial and economic mismanagement by this government, and so we shouldn't be giving them credit for solving a problem that they have solved.
The energy sector, you call Dumsor mu President Mahama, and who say, "Obe you man if you Dumsor mu," until we would take key steps to get us out of it, and any thema plans about the buy to generate electricity for us. On the face of it, a good thing or yeah.
Customers of the Electricity Company of Ghana's prepayment meter system since Monday, September 26, 2022, were unable to top up at a third-party vending point. The almost a week challenge affected customers in 10 operational regional areas of ECG, including Volta, Kumasi, Accra, Takoradi, Tema, Cape Coast, Kaswa, Winneba, Swedro, Koforidua, Nkoko, and Tafo. The challenge compelled the company to put in place various measures, including extending the working hours for the weekend. In a presser held in Accra, the managing director of ECG, Samuel Mahama, assured customers that the challenges would be resolved by close of the day.
I'd like to take this opportunity to apologize to all customers of the Electricity Company of Ghana who attempted to purchase power and were not able to purchase power. The company admits its faults. The company admits that it was not able to deliver on a service. But the company also at this point would like to let all its customers know that most vending stations are up and running. We want them to know that hopefully by close of day today, everything will be up and running.
He advised persons with illegally connected power supplies to have them disconnected.
I'll then treat everybody that the system is up and running now. So if you've done anything of such, please call the person who did it for you and return and reverse it. Because right after all of this, we will go back and embark on our illegal connection, campaign, and make sure that everybody does right by the company.
He also called on affected customers of the Electricity Company of...
Speaker, the global oil market is currently characterized by the ongoing geopolitical tensions, post-pandemic challenges, supply chain issues, and rising inflation. There have been recent reports of diesel shortage and severely depleted distillate fuels inventories across North America, Europe, and Asia. Sanctions and boycott on petroleum export from Russia, a major exporter of distillate, especially to Europe, are reducing availability even further and intensifying upward pressure on fuel prices. Effective from 1st April 2022, government reduced margins in the petroleum price buildup by Ghana pesos 15 pesos per litre for the next 3 months. To help stabilize the prices of petroleum products, the government instituted a temporary forest cover for oil imports through the Bank of Ghana. Indeed, it is a challenge. This is a worldwide phenomenon that is happening. And of course, the government is doing all it can. As I'm sure you know, the state CD has been stabilized reasonably in the last several weeks. As opposed to what is happening as a result of the Ukraine war, we have very little to do about it. And all that we can all hope as people is to continue to hope that the steps that government has taken will continue to afford us enough supply of petroleum in this country,
as opposed to what is happening in other countries around the world, where there are people are queuing and sleeping in filling stations for food.
Member for Tamale North, Honorable Suhini Alasa Saibu, to ask the Minister his first question.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to ask the Minister of Finance which independent power-producing companies have received payment from the government of Ghana for excess capacity charges, and how much was paid to each company in the last 4 years. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member from Tamale North, because these are very important issues of power for us as a country. Mr. Speaker, the underlisted independent producers have received payments for excess capacity charge for the period under review 2017 to 2020, totaling $937.5 million US. The breakdown is as follows: AXA $347.2 million, Car Power $359.00 million, and Send Power $231.3 million. Thank you, sir. Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable supplementary question.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Minister's answer is in the form of a range, a period between or period under review 2017 to 2020. Will the Minister be kind enough to break it down to how much was paid for each year? How much was paid for each year? Thank you.
Honorable members, when I say if the minister is minded, then I'm looking at it that probably the question is being shifted. So if the minister is minded, he can answer the question. Other than that, so Minister, if you think you can.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Honorable Member, thank you very much for the supplementary question. The amount, as I stated, from 2017 to 2020 totals $937.5 million US. Breakdown is as follows. AXA.
What is the difference between the ordinary thief and a political thief? Number one, the ordinary thief steals your money, your bag, your watch, and your jewelry, isn't it? But the political thief steals your future, your career, your education, your health, and your business. Number two, the hilarious part is that the ordinary thief will choose whom to rob. But you are the one who choose the political thief to rob you. Because we choose them. We vote them. We blindly say we are not blind. Who is deceiving who? The ridiculous part of the whole issue is that we will fight to defend and protect our belongings from the ordinary thief. Is it not? But we fight each other to defend and protect the political thief. Is that not what we do? Thugs will be fighting themselves to protect those that are stealing our career, stealing our joy, stealing our health, stealing our success. What a shame.
If you reach a certain stage in life and there is nobody who can look you in the eye and tell you the truth, you are doomed. And that is where our country has gotten to. We need to rescue this country. Wallahi. And I feel very terrible as a Ghanaian at this time. This country is in serious trouble, ladies and gentlemen. We are in serious trouble. We need to rescue this country, ladies and gentlemen. The presidency has been so depraved so muddied, so dirtied, that I tell you in all sincerity as a Ghanaian, that I feel terribly sad today as a Ghanaian. We need to rescue this country. Wallahi, inshallah.
Please don't cry.
We shall rescue our country.
Government is broke, government is broke. The people are spending billions to go inside the government that is broke. Have you ever seen a minister who resigned because government is broke before? Government has no money. Have you ever seen a governor who said, ladies and gentlemen, when I was elected, I thought the government had money. Now I discover government has no money, I resign. Have you ever seen it? Government has no money, but they are bringing money out at election time. Where is that money coming from? So they are lying. What is happening is that there are two types of wicked people in government. Type 1, they eat current money. Any money they find in government, they will eat it. They are wicked about that one. There is type 2. Type 2, they eat current money and future money. They will say, my term will end next year. When I leave, how will I eat money? Let me borrow money now and borrow money of the future and eat it now.
Right, hello, good morning and welcome to the show. This is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. It's a Thursday, the 14th day of March 2024. By His grace, we're live and we're here. We're at another edition of the show. Our gratitude to go to Most High God for the rare privilege of being alive and, of course, the opportunity of having another conversation around the top stories making rounds here in our dear Republic. I'll let you into our panel for the morning's conversation shortly, but let's take a look at the front pages of our newspapers. Daily Graphic. Ghana Apprenticeship Program launched. 50,000 to receive job skills. Agric Ministry rolls out Planting for Food and Jobs 2.0 in SHSs. Stanchart projects $1 trillion Africa exports by 2035. And there's a special supplement on Made in Ghana goods and services in today's edition of the Daily Graphic. The Ghanaian Times. At launch of Ghana Apprenticeship Program, government invests $500 million in TVET within 7 years. VIP. Clamp down relentless illegal mining in Asem Krom. Catholic priest appeals to MUSEC. Samuel Oku elected Vice President of African Lotteries Association. Inflation declines marginally to 23.2%. Statistical Service. Daily Guide. Government sponsors 50,000 apprenticeship. Manager. Girlfriend. Plotted. Murdered Jirapa Dubai owner. John Kume's death. Autopsy report rules out foul play. SKP Chinese bribe prison officers with KFC and 1,000 Ghana cedis. Nigerian gets 10 years for human trafficking. The New Crusading Guide. Let's have confidence in Baumia's vision for economic development. Paul Chumberima. VIP to launch Ghana card at birth today. Asensu Boachi pays tribute to late Ochima Boaji. We had our differences, but our friendship remain unchanged. Chief Justice and Judicial Council cited for contempt. Ozu Bempa flays Mahama over dooms of politics, says his attempt to cause artificial dooms won't fly. YE equips 21,000 youth in construction and brick production. The Insight. High taxes killing us. Glaucoma patients cry out over cost of medication. Alliance of Feminist CSOs blast MP Afenyo Markins over comments against Professor Jane Opokwajiman. Minority accuses Bank of Ghana of illegally writing off 48 billion cedi state debt. English. Adedenta installs Nadede as developmental queen mother for entire community support. Starvation is a war crime. Notes from the Israeli genocide against the Palestinians. The Daily Statesman. NPP government invests 6 billion cedis in TVET. VIP describes commitment as unprecedented. Ghana-Denmark launch strategic cooperation. YEA trains 20,000 youth in brick production and construction. Ghana-South Africa formalize multi-sectoral engagements. The New Finder. We are impressed. MPs praise Ghana card printing factory. YEA equips 21,000 youth in brick production and construction. Inflation rate falls slightly to 23.2% in February. $500 million invested in TVET as apprenticeship program to train 50,000 is launched. Daily Post. JB Killer's trial as Lowusu's name pops up in court. I'll revamp NHIS when elected President, Mahama. NDC Tama Central Secretary Mox MC says his comments about Mohammed's visit is childish. And that's about it for the front pages. We'll be back shortly.
Let's all join the ride to make our nation great and strong.
Welcome to labor, they say, but as humans, aging and physical infirmity stands our way of enjoying our mansions and homes. It often becomes challenging, if not impossible, to use our stairways day in, day out. With portable American pneumatic vacuum elevators, PVs, you are assured of unlimited enjoyment of your mansions and homes. It's a self-supported elevator for vertical movement of humans and goods at homes and offices. The original comes in 3 custom-made models with wheelchair accessibility. Call it luxury, but it's a necessary imperative for vertical mobility. Do not let aging or infirmity limit you. Get one for your easy vertical mobility at home. It's affordable and can be installed in just 3 days without modification to your existing building. It's however easier to incorporate it at the construction stage. We also have traditional Fuji elevators and escalators for your high-rise buildings and malls. Visit Lifts and Elevators Company Limited at Sakumono for your elevators nationwide. For free consultation to call or WhatsApp us on 0200-535-515. Lifts and Elevators, the elevator people.
For over 20 years of serving the world with herbal and alternative medicine, we've been successful in treating complicated medical conditions with a perfect combination of herbal and alternative methods of treatment, like homeopathy, naturopathy, reflexology, and many more. We deliver excellent and effective service to people from all walks of life through scientific and traditional means. We have a well-equipped laboratory with advanced diagnostic and treatment devices to help detect your illness, so we know the right medication to be given. At Amen Scientific Herbal and Alternative Medical Hospital, we are proud manufacturers of our own herbal medication. Our zeal and passion to save lives with our patients at heart and outstanding achievements since 1996 has won us several awards. That is why we say, go herbal, go Amen. We are located everywhere in all the regions. Amen Scientific Herbal and Alternative Medical Hospital. Allahu Shafi, God is the He.
Hey, what's up?
How far with your intentions?
To be honest, I'm so nervous about starting this new role on Monday.
Oh, please. I know you'll be great at it. You should be worried about what benefits they have. Example, do they have health insurance?
I doubt they will have that for internet. But no shaking. I have NHIS already.
After you answer a line, ting.
Ina, look at you. What are you going to do in the office when you can just download their app to register for an NHIS membership?
Yes, my people. You heard right. You can now download and register your membership on my NHIS app. No long queues or tedious paperwork. All you need is your Ghana card to register for yourself and for others. Once you register, you get a new digital NHIS card on your phone. My NHIS app gives you access to credentialed health facilities and services across the country. NHIS covers over 95% of disease conditions in Ghana. Access to healthcare just got easier.
Now let me sign up quickly. Please, Seth, I'm starting work next month.
We are back, bringing you the latest lineup from Betway. Betway starts strong with their front two, with Free Play Friday and Swipe Bet. In the middle, you've got all the control with Cash Out and Build a Bet. Plus, with Win Boost, you can boost your sports bets. At the back, they have Smart Picks and the Partial Daily Jackpot.
You always get way more with Betway.
This advert has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet responsibly. No under 18. Terms and conditions apply. Betway. Get way more.
Anti-cavity, gum protection, brighter teeth, and fresh breath.
I'm a fair missy way.
The Pacho Bantama.
Machasi.
a smile.
The fresh breath.
Me Gidi say we use Cal 360 toothpaste. Some kind.
Cal 360 toothpaste.
Gaskia, Cal 360 toothpaste. It's a gum protector. Onim jom kasa. Ile kosen. Cal 360 did the work. It's cool mint. Gives me fresh breath and your confidence booster.
You will see so feeling to when you know Cal 360 toothpaste.
Happy smile.
Cal 360 toothpaste, anti-cavity, gum protection, brighter teeth, and fresh breath. Cal, happy smile. This advert is FDA approved.
The biggest car center in Ghana, offering unparalleled round-the-clock service in autos and accessories. Nadam Autofix is the biggest distributors of used tires in Ghana, offering first-grade second-hand car tires of all rim sizes at both wholesale and retail prices. We are also the leading name in car sensor diagnostics, corrections and sales of car accessories. We excel in car washing and detailing with state-of-the-art steam engine washing machines that keep water away from your engine, ensuring a clean, healthy and responsive engine. Nadam Autofix, the first name in servicing, car accessories and car washing. Visit us today and experience the world of class difference. Find us today at Asoridaho, directly opposite Dansoman KFC and the Shell filling station. For more details, you can call us on 0503 244 266 or 0535 339823. Nado Motofix. Wukwain Sunyonko Papa.
Stop! Enough you guys, so continue.
Prepare yourself to unleash even more moolah by staking from 1 Ghana cedi to 350 Ghana cedis, and you could win 26 times your stake on the exciting new Pick 1 game from Game Park. Play by dialing *946# on all networks via our website or download the Game Park app on www.gameparkgames.com. Choose your Pick 1 number from 1 to 36. Place your stake and watch our live draws on Adum TV at 9 a.m., 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. daily.
Hey, live life like me with Game Park. Game Park, more moolah, more power.
This game is regulated by the National Lottery Authority, not for persons under 18. Play responsibly.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. With me on the show this morning is Dr. Tia Abdul Kabiru Mahama, who is the technical advisor to the Vice President and also the NPP's parliamentary candidate for the Wale Wale constituency. Doc, good morning.
Good morning, Doc.
Okay. How are you?
I'm doing well.
The second part of my description of your credentials, is that correct?
Yeah, it is correct.
Parliamentary candidate for MPP Wale Wale.
Yeah.
No bend, no curve.
That is the status quo until otherwise determined.
Okay.
Because we must provide a caveat that there are still some pending issue at the High Court in Tamale, where the incumbent MP not agreeing to the outcome of the election, alleging some voter irregularities. So, but the EC has declared, and
the
EC duly declared,
okay.
And that is the status quo, and the party's position until a ruling to the otherwise is given. I think that it is right.
So has the court started hearing the case?
Yeah. I think the court started. They filed in a written summon to set aside the results, which was supposed to be heard on the 26th or 27th of January. But the party filed a counter motion to set aside that writ of summon on grounds that the applicant respondent did not follow internal mechanism, exhaustion of internal mechanism, while the party constitution clearly says that if any candidate or any member feel aggrieved on any matter, the first point of recourse is the party. And even the rules governing the very elections that we conducted, it clearly stated that under page 5 of the application form, the rules and regulation governing the election, that under no circumstances should any aspiring parliamentary candidate send any issue regarding this election to court until and unless the person he or she has fully exhausted the internal mechanisms. So I think the party came on that particular provision or that particular rules to which the applicant respondent assented or signed and duly witnessed by his deponent. So the party came on that through that angle. So that was moved on the 27th. The court said the 15th of this month, which is going to be tomorrow, for the determination of that matter. Okay. I think once that is determined, then we don't know the next course of action.
Okay.
But my general appeal is that litigation on an election matter does not heal wounds. We have to be much more rallying each other, building consensus, and trying to forge ahead to win the battle ahead.
Have you acted in that regard?
Yeah, I think they say that the winner must be magnanimous in victory, whilst the loser will be gracious in defeat. I think I've tried my possible best. I extended my hand of magnanimity to the MP immediately after the election. Of course, I'm still also engaging her to come to understanding the fact that elections are over, and after elections there are no campaigns. So I'm trying, and I'm engaging people who matter to equally talk to her in this regard. Yeah.
Okay, all right, okay. We'll get back. There's another question I have for you on this, but I'll do that later on. Also with us on the show this morning is the legal practitioner, who's also the National Communications Officer of the NDC, Sammy Gyamfi. Sammy, good morning.
Good morning, Doctor.
How are you?
Things are tough, but we are managing.
But is it Kenke is now 2 cities?
Kenke?
That's what our Greek minister said. He said planting for food and jobs has dropped the price of Kenke.
In which part
Haven't
of
you heard or read that?
I heard him making noise about the failed planting for food and jobs program. But, very typical of this government and their appointees, they are always economical with the truth. But Ghanaians, know the reality. Like Bob Marley said, he who feels it knows it best. And we know that today if you go to Usu, or even this area, to buy Kenke, you're going to get it at around 5 Ghana cedis for one. You understand? We know that today food inflation in Ghana is one of the highest in Africa. One of the highest. Only yesterday, the Ghana Statistical Service released information on the rate of inflation, and food inflation is hovering around 27.1%. And so in any country where food inflation is at such an astronomical level, what you expect of duty bearers, what you expect of ministers of state, is candor, is some humility, in admitting the difficult times the people find themselves in. Doc, it's not just about food prices. As we speak today, you need more than 13 Ghana cedis to get $1. It is even worse relative to the CFA. Today, the CFA, 1 million CFA, which used to be sold at 6,500 in 2016 when we were leaving office, is today being sold at 21,500. Look at the quantum leap. And so all traders who go to Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast, Togo to bring in onions and different products, today their businesses are on their knees. Their businesses are collapsing because of the free fall of the cedi against the CFA, against the dollar. And on top of all this, the high interest rates, in Ghana today, which is the highest in Africa. On top of all these, factors which have plunged us into untold hardships. Doc, we are back in doomsday.
Okay, we'll get back to that issue.
So how can any Minister of State mount a podium today and brag about food prices coming down when the opposite is the case? It's an insult to our sensibility. But very good morning to you and my brother, Dr. Kabiru, and congratulations on your challenged victory. It is our hope that the sister of Alhaji Bawumia will allow you this one to slide for you to enjoy the victory, even though you will lose in the main election.
All right.
I think that
hopefully we'll speak with Mr. Bembuachi of ASEP on the energy issues. The energy issues. But Charlie, how much we can give? If I see this.
where the place you buy them from?
Go to Osu is the hub of thinking. But Doc,
I was looking for an independent.
Just to defend my brother Small Doc, that his contender to what is the problem?
It's okay. We'll come back. We'll come back to the issue.
We'll come back.
Imagine getting rewarded for doing something you already do every single day. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, that's exactly what Momo Season is all about. There's something for everyone. Download the Momo app on Play Store or App Store and use Momo. Pay for your day-to-day transactions to a merchant either through the QR code or merchant ID and stand a chance of winning 1,000 cedis weekly and other amazing prizes. Our merchants are also not left out of the reward. Receive payments and win. Keep using your Momo Pay on the Momo app and get rewarded. There are lots and lots of exciting prizes for everyone. So what are we doing today? Transact more with Momo Pay and more points and win big this Momo season. Visit Momo Merchant application.mtn.com.gh for your Momo for business account today. It's Momo season, so just Momo it with Momo Pay. Terms and conditions apply. And if you're looking for a toothpaste that will take care of all the family and save you money, especially in these trying times, the recommended family toothpaste is KEL 360 toothpaste. This is approved by the Food and Drugs Authority. KEL 360 toothpaste provides you and your family with all-round dental protection throughout the day with freshness. KEL 360 toothpaste is good for kids, children, and adults. Let your family be a proud family when they step out by constantly using KEL 360 toothpaste. KEL 360 toothpaste brightens your teeth, prevents cavity, and with its cool mint gives you fresh breath throughout the day and protects the gum from decaying. For consistency and quality, use KEL 360 toothpaste. KEL 360 toothpaste is another product from Samara Company Limited, producers of Sasso, and is available in all supermarkets, malls, and provision shops. You can call Samara Company on 0246 864 798. 0246 864 798. KEL 360 toothpaste, happy smile. And the pains of climbing the stairs when not exercising could be challenging for all ages, but worry no more. Lift and elevators have got you covered with the best portable American pneumatic vacuum elevators on the market today. It's a simple self-supported elevator for both homes and offices, and guess what? It can lift your goods too. Wheelchairs can fit in and they come in 3 custom-made models. It's affordable and can be installed within 3 days. visit Lift and Elevators at Sakumono, or just call them on 0200535515 or send a mail to elevatorsgh@gmail.com for consultations and the best solutions in easy vertical movement. Amen Scientific. Experts in stroke, infertility, and other chronic diseases rush to treat your illness at Amen Scientific for quick recovery. Amen has advanced diagnostic devices, including MRI, that can detect and treat your illness. Amen has good medical professionals who show empathy and care for your health. Amen Scientific has efficacious herbal medications to treat your illness. Amen Scientific has nice and comfortable wards for admission of patients. Join the testimonies as other patients have done. As Amen Scientific is rated as the best herbal hospital in Africa by the Black History Honors of America and the China Chamber of Commerce. You can reach them on 0207229505 or 0245275254 or 0244227192. Amen Scientific Herbal and Alternative Medical Hospital allow Shafi God as the healer. Okay, Sammy, so you were saying something?
Yeah, I was saying that I don't know what our sister, the contender of Dr. Kabiru in the just ended primaries, is looking for. Because she's privileged to be the sister of the vice president and now flag bearer of the MPP. She was fortunate to have been made the CEO of the Northern Development Authority, and her tenure, over 400 tricycles vanished into thin air, and today they've not been able to account for it. On top, despite that, Doc, he was privileged to be made the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection. I think she was only changed a few weeks or months ago. So I thought that she would have been gracious in defeat and allow Dr. Kabiru, the young man who is doing everything possible to defend the bad, commodity the MPP is compelled to market today. I'm talking about their flag bearer, his boss, Alhaji Bawumia. I in all sincerity, think that the woman should let this slide so that Dr. Kabiru can enjoy this short period of his MPP parliamentary candidature. But I'm optimistic, like I indicated, that we have a formidable candidate for the Wale seat. So I know that no matter who emerges after this dispute, I sincerely hope that it is Dr. Kabiru. But no matter who emerges, I know that the NDC will be successful in this election. So far, even the assembly elections in Wale points to a clear direction, even though that is not partisan. We all know the underlying currents for assembly elections. And if you look at it, the NDC is far ahead of the MPP in Wale. And that gives me confidence that come 2024, we are going to win in Wale. But Doc, let me just correct one thing I said. I indicated that today you needed 13 Ghana cedis to get $1. I just got a message from my Forex Bureau guy. Today they are selling $1 at 13 cedis, 30 pesos. That's the correction I would make. 13 cedis, 30 pesos. And by the way, when I was talking about food inflation, I also forgot to add that even though the national food inflation average is 27.1%, if you go to the home region of the Minister for Agric, who yesterday was bragging about food prices reducing because of planting for food and jobs, the food inflation for his region, the eastern region, is the highest in the country and currently stands at 47%, 20 percentage points above the national average of 27%. And so he should be the first person to acknowledge the mess we find ourselves in and the excruciating economic difficulties that we are confronted with. And what we require of him as Minister for Agriculture now is candor, humility, sensitivity, and to move away from the cheap slogans, planting for food and jobs and so on, which have yielded nothing after we have spent billions and billions of cedis on, to focus on the most important things, that affect the welfare of farmers, the important things that affect production levels, for us to have some respite, because as it is now, things are getting bad and they are getting worse and worse by the day. And so you should revise this note. The price of a ball of kenke is not 2 cedis. In Accra here, I can speak for myself. Yesterday I ate kenke. I bought 1 ball of kenke at 5 cedis. And even that one, you can see a significant reduction in the size of the ball of kenke.
It's Legon kenke.
No. I buy my kenke at Chadu because I live around Chadu. Doc lives at Chadu. If I'm lying, you can say it. It's either I buy my kenke at Chadu or I buy it.
That's why I look for.
We buy our kenke.
Your cameraman is there.
Nima and then.
Which part of Nima?
Nima, New Town.
Are you going to put
specifically one day around the?
And it's 2 cities. Are you going to put your credibility on the line?
Oh, it's not 2 cities.
Because we can get a cameraman.
He knows it's not 2 cities.
If you say here that it is 2 cities,
it's not.
We will just speak with Annie. Doc will just have to direct. Once we close,
no.
We all drive there with the cameraman.
The person
to go and buy that cake at 2 cities.
The person I asked is a Nima boy. Me. At least 3 or 4 times in a week, I go through Nima and Newtown. And so Doc knows that the 2 cities is out.
He can't say that. Now you want to be MP. So
on the more important, he appealed to my MP.
Yes.
But also in the course of the appeal,
he
tried to impugn wrongdoing. I just think that issue has been litigated in the public space, even in her vetting to become the Deputy Minister of State. I remember Mr. Alasan Suyuni, the MPP, NDC's parliamentary candidate for Tamale North, raised it. At the committee level, even on floor, when they were going to approve them, they raised it. But at the end of the day,
have they accounted for it?
No, I think she's been cleared, because if she was not cleared, there were issues hanging. I'm not sure the committee will go ahead to.
But you use it against her in the campaign.
No, I never raised any issue of such.
Is your supporters
none of my supporters even raised any of such issue.
Okay.
So
we don't have the motors. That is the tricycles, and it is a fact. You can't dispute the fact that the tricycles vanished under her tenure. You understand?
Tricycles
vanished under her
tenure. She was a deputy. Direct CEO of NDA.
And eventually became the substantive?
No, she never became the substantive. She left as deputy CEO. So she cannot be held responsible ultimately for whatever happens at NDA. So for me, let's limit it to your appeal. And let's
not ultimately, but what about directly?
So let's limit it to the appeal. But on the issue of the cost of living, he raised it. I was thinking that my brother will also be kind enough to tell us that the data he's referring to has shown a significant reduction in the cost of living. Okay, inflation is now around 23.2%.
No, just be careful.
Significant reduction.
I'm saying that.
Doc, please listen to me a minute before you go on. Just be careful with your interpretation of the data. Otherwise, people might get you wrong. Yes. I can understand what you want to say.
Exactly.
But please choose your words carefully.
Okay, so once you understand, probably that is basically...
But you're not communicating to just me, so...
it's part of your responsibility.
No matter who is communicating to, you cannot say that the data I'm relying on show that prices have come down significantly.
No,
or there has been a significant improvement in those metrics.
My intervention was because the impression I got, and Doc, correct me if I'm wrong, is that what Doc wanted to say was that the rate at which prices were increasing had dropped significantly. Not that prices...
Relative to what benchmark?
No,
maybe Doc.
No, previous inflation figures.
Which one? Which one are you? Which one is he referencing?
We have discussed on this same platform when Mr. Semi Jemfi and NDC communicators were communicating an inflation figure of over 50%. Government was sent to the cleaners. Government was characterized as being insensitive, driving this economy into the abyss. We've discussed that here. Now we have the situation improving to cost of living increasing at 23%. Okay, as at the last month of data released by the Ghana Statistical Service. And I say that this is something that we must acknowledge, that the pace at which things were deteriorating has significantly improved. That's the point we all have to, and it's an established fact that we cannot run away from. Even though I'm of the view,
the rate of
and the conduct that he's asking for, the sensitivity to the Ghanaian people that he's asking for, I'm of the view that 23% of inflation is still something we can do something about to reduce it further. Even though I am not of the view that there is a point in time in this economy that prices of goods should be coming down, because our economy is not yet ripe for that. Okay, and even elsewhere, jurisdiction where cost of living is decreasing, or we are having declining prices of goods and services, they are struggling so much to make sure that prices of goods are increasing. Japan, for instance, they are struggling so hard to ensure that prices of goods are not coming down, because it is also a disincentive. It's not disinflation is not an economic booster.
But don't compare the two.
No, I'm not comparing, but I'm just saying that either way it's a problem. Okay, either way it's a problem. So we will want to have optimal level of inflation, and that is what our policy makers are saying, that we have single-digit inflation. Okay, they are looking at something like 8% plus or minus 2%. So basically, we are looking at inflation rate of 8 to 10% as optimal level for our economy. We are about 13 percentage points shy of that. Government focus is how do we ensure that we bring it back, whilst admitting that 23% is still not good for the Ghanaian people.
Doc, what Dr. Kabiru is saying is that if I poison you, these days there is a lot of talk about poison, so let me use that as an example. No, I prefer to use poison.
No.
That is what Ghanaians
then
can relate to.
Then use somebody else, don't use me.
Doc, let me use Dr. Kabiru.
Okay, if they poison you.
Okay, if you poison me.
No, I will not. You can use it.
There's a lot of talk about poisoning.
Everybody's running away from poison.
All right, Doc. Let me just use a hypothetical example. If you poison me, and I am on the verge of death, then you manage to rush me to the hospital. They put drips of water on me, put an oxygen machine on me and all that. Give me some emergency medical treatments, and my situation stabilizes a bit. But I'm still bed-stricken, still sick, I cannot walk. You can turn around and say, I've reduced your condition significantly. Things are better, so clap for me. That is what you're saying. Because inflation should not have reached a staggering 54% by December 2022 in the first place. The only reason why inflation increased to that unbearable, that, humongous level is because you deliberately decided to be reckless. You deliberately decided to mismanage the economy by getting the central bank to print for you 45 billion Ghana cedis in 2022 alone. A fact admitted by the Bank of Ghana and the Ministry of Finance. And the fact that your boss, Alhaji Bawumia, who supervised all this mismanagement, has applauded. And so if you overprint money into the system that you can't even show what useful investments you did for, and that leads to an astronomical increase in the rate of inflation. And according to the World Bank, that plunges over 800,000 Ghanaians into poverty. You cannot turn around after now you've run to the IMF and you went there in an ambulance and the IMF has managed to put oxygen machines on you and so on, and has appointed for you a headmaster at the central bank to supervise you, to monitor you closely, and to ensure that you don't print any money for the government. And so as a result of that, we see some relative reduction in the rates of increase in prices from 54% to 23.2%. You cannot parade that as an achievement. No. You must still be in an apologetic mood, because we should not have gotten to 54% in the first place. And an inflation rate of 23% is still very, very high. In 2016, when you were campaigning to be elected into government, the rate of inflation was 15% by December, 15.4%. You made a lot of noise about this, Dr. Kabiru. And you said it was unacceptable for a country like Ghana to have a high inflation rate of 15.4%. You said 15.4% inflation rate was a mark of incompetence. So today you cannot be celebrating an inflation rate of 23% and a food inflation rate of 27.1%. That is hypocrisy. That is dishonesty. And the people of this country deserve better. In any case, the data I'm relying on goes beyond the rate of inflation, which has seen some relative stability or reduction, yet remains high. The data I am relying on also borders on the interest rates. And at the beginning of this year, we saw the publication. The interest rate we recorded in Ghana in 2022 and 2023, 2 consecutive years, are the highest interest rates in Africa for 2 consecutive years. How can businesses cope in an economic environment where they have to borrow at a rate of 36%? In 2022, at some point, the banks were lending at a rate of 38%, 40%. Today, interest rates are still hovering around 35% and over. So we are not out of the woods yet. In fact, we are still in the mess you have created. Unemployment rate is skyrocketed. It has hit a record high of 14.7%. Youth unemployment is around 22%. You understand? So it is not all the matrices that are on a downward trend. Things are even getting worse and worse by the day. I was just citing the example of the exchange rate. Not too long ago, it was 12.8. Then it came to 13 cedis, 13.1, 13.15, now 13.3 to $1. And you tell me that things are getting better. So don't just even look at the inflation rate alone. What about the dollar rate? Because your boss, Alhaji Bawumia, in opposition, when he was waxing lyrical about the economy, told us that when in doubt, look at the exchange rate. He said the exchange rate was the most important barometer for assessing the strength of the fundamentals of every economy. And that if the fundamentals of an economy were weak, the exchange rate will expose you to what is the state of the exchange rate against the dollar, 13.3. I just told you. When you're in a year, 13.2. Safer to get 1 million safer, 21,500. When it used to be 6,500. You're a Muslim, right?
Yes.
Good. You know that today, to go to Mecca, you need to cough up 75,000 Ghana cedis.
Exchange rate wahala.
Exactly. That is the impact of the exchange rate depreciation on even Mecca fares. When you only needed 11,900 in 2016 to go to Mecca. Now look at, we are not saying that prices should be static. We are not calling for inflation to be in the negatives. Look at the quantum of increment from 11,900 in 2016 to 75,000. Check the prices of basic commodities. So look, never in the recent history of this country, at least in the last 40 years, 4 decades.
In fact, during the vetting of my friend, the Minister of State designate for Finance, when she was speaking about Ghana's debt, the fact that our debt currently stands at 621 billion cedis, which represents a 509% increase from 2016. She says something, and I'd like to quote 2 paragraphs. Yeah. She says, Mr. Chairman, in that debt component, you have the dollar CD exchange issue, because all the amount is not contracted in a local currency. And so you have to convert all the amount into cedis. In 2022 alone, an additional 100 billion cedis was added to our debt, not because we borrowed, but because of the strength of our currency against the major trading currencies. End of quote.
That's factual. That is the enormity of the problem we are talking about. That once the exchange rate gets out of hands, once you lose control over the exchange rate, it has a ripple effect on all the other matrices. All the other matrices. I will not be surprised with the way the exchange rate is going to see inflation on an upward trend again. I will not even be surprised at the rate government is borrowing from the treasury market, domestic market, and crowding out the private sector. With the and coupled with the way the exchange rate is going, I will not be surprised to see interest rates shooting up again. You see, so the exchange rate is important, and that is the primary responsibility we entrusted to Dr. Kabiru's boss, the chairman of the economic management team, Alhaji Bawumia, who had told us in opposition that he had the magic wand to stabilize the exchange rate. And today we know that the opposite is the case, because the exchange rate is in tatters. I mean, the CD keeps on depreciating. The CD is now one of the worst performing currencies among our neighbors. I don't even want to cite, international countries outside the sub-region, but even if you look at our neighbors, Togo, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, the CD is performing poorly. So these are very difficult times. Yes, times have always been difficult, but the kind of hardships we are seeing today, Maza, we've never experienced this in the last 4 decades. And it is all as a result of the recklessness and mismanagement of the Bawumia-led economic management team and the entire Akufo-Addo Bawumia MPP government. And therefore, acknowledge the difficulty. That's all we are talking about. Acknowledge it. Don't come and insult our sensibilities by telling us that, there's a significant improvement in the economic matrices. Kenke is now 2 Ghana cedis. The predecessor of this current agri minister told us that plantain was 5 cedis or so. When, at the time he was speaking, it was over, over 20 Ghana cedis. Doc, American Embassy, opposite American Embassy, where they take the passport pictures. There is a gentleman there who sells abru, corn.
Don't use his prices.
Oh.
No, his prices are American prices.
No,
don't use it.
But it will be interesting.
I'll show you a place, just 150 meters from him.
Okay.
There is a makeshift lorry station.
Okay.
How
much do they sell?
That's close to the Akai House Junction. Okay. You will see that the price there is half his price.
Okay.
He charges $1.
No, so it means you bought from him before.
I buy a Briar Tutu, I buy a lot.
So your place, what is the price now?
Which one?
Your place, where you're recommending?
I came here and on this show, I spoke about how much I bought corn. In Sawam, not Accra. In Sawam, the junction to the Sawam prison. I bought corn there. It was how much? Was it 3 cedis or so? 3 cedis. And I compared that to how much
you were buying from
pay. No, how much we pay for feeding of a prisoner per day. The bro back was 3 cedis.
Yes. 3 cedis. And now
that's in Sawam.
I'm
not talking about Accra.
No, now in Accra, there are places where you buy. You say I shouldn't use.
No, don't use the American price guy.
It's a bit outrageous.
That's
because
this
is 15 cedis.
It's dollar. This is dollar. Don't use his price.
This is 15 cedis. I
just showed you. Just down towards Akai House.
I'm sure I can get something around 5 cedis.
Yes, there's
maybe 5
cedis.
But even 5 cedis, dog. It's serious. So all the commodities, rice, water, and all that. So please,
what I need to do is that I need to do a list of places you can get food. I need to help you with that.
Help us because
you don't know some of the context in Accra. So
let's not split hairs over this because you know the reality yourself. You are living the reality. What we expect.
If Dr. Kabiru, I need to give him a list.
Yes.
Of where you can find
exactly
in these trying times. That's how I can help you.
The issue is that
just to wrap up in 5 seconds. 3 things we require from you, our leaders, those of you in government who have plunged us into this mess. Number 1, some level of remorse and contrition. Number 2, honesty in acknowledging the difficulties we find ourselves in. And number 3, credible remedial measures to bring us out, or at least to give us some temporary respite before we boot you out of office on 7 December 2024. And when I talk about remedial measures, I'm talking about at least the reduction in taxes. The taxes that your boss, Alhaji Bawumia, and your government have heaped on us are just unbearable. So far, over 40 tax items. Totally unacceptable, especially given the things he said in 2008 on Joy FM and on other platforms about how taxes were hurting this economy. He said that today you've covered your face, you bow down your head. You can't even look at my face when I'm talking about taxes. So please accept the reality and begin to take action to reduce our pain.
Just before you come in. Okay, so let me just do this quickly. So, the Honorable John Jinapo, are your constituencies close?
No, not close. Yeah.
Okay, so he says that, so in short, things are deteriorating, but at a slower rate. The 23% inflation is just because the Bank of Ghana has been stopped from printing money for government by the IMF, and not because of any policy implications by this government. Now, Makojo Boafu watches us in the States. He's pointed me somewhere. Apparently, there is a Kenke index. It's called the Kenke index. And I didn't know. So I've sent it to both of you.
Okay.
Now, interestingly, I went to look at it, and then the project lead is actually my friend, Kobna Edu. Okay. So we were in Accra Academy together. Apparently, he is the project lead for this particular one. And so I didn't know that he had actually done this. And I think it's really, really creative and interesting. Now, so this one was even published by the Business and Financial Times online. And it was also carried on City FM and City TV. So the Kenke Index, this is a December report. So you go through all that. It starts by saying, what do all the macroeconomic numbers and jargon have to do with the price of Kenke? It says, from a turbulent beginning that saw 2 price increases within 6 months, the Kenke market has stabilized by the end of 2023. 4 cedi Kenke dominates. 5 cedi Kenke is here to stay. And 2 cedi Kenke is finished. Kenke began 2023. It says that 4 cedi Kenke dominates 2023 by the end.
December. 4 cedi Kenke
dominates. 5 cedi Kenke is here to stay. And 2 cedi Kenke is finished. Kenke began 2023 in the middle of a steep price increase. The Kenke index had first recorded 4 cedi Kenke in November 2022. As of January 2023, roughly 10% of the Kenke for sale on the market was at 4 cedis. And the average selling price was 2 cedis 83 pesos. But by April, 41% of the Kenke on offer was 4 cedis. And the average selling price was 3 cedis 44 pesos. April was also the month when the 5 cedi Kenke made its entry. By November, 1/3 of the Kenke on offer on the streets of Accra was for 5 cedis. In the same month that the 2 cedi Kenke disappeared. So 5 replaced the 2. Now it says Teshi was the last stop for the 2 cedi Kenke. So I'm sure that's why Dr. Kuboy was telling you. But that
ended last year.
Yeah, ended last year, November. It says, while the selling price affects affordability, the value for money lies in the price of Kenke at a given weight. On that measure, Kenke started the year at 124 grams per Ghana cedi, a 20.5% drop over the preceding 3 months. Yes. As consumers expressed a sharp drop in their Kenke well-being through what they call shrinkflation.
Shrinkflation.
Yes. Wow. Now, the value of Kenke continued to drop another 17% over the first half of the year, ending at 102 grams per Ghana cedi in July. The market started stabilizing in July, due in part to an increased supply of maize and an increased number of seasonal Kenke sellers, according to one experienced seller. The price and value for money have remained stable since then, even turning around slightly. Year on year, the average selling price of Kenke on the market has gone from 2 cedis 75 pesos to 3 cedis 87 pesos, a 40.7% increase. The value as measured by the weight per Ghana cedi is down 17%. But what do all these percentages and averages mean for the average Ghanaian? Now, so it gives you the key points. The most common selling price of Kenke on the market is now 4 cedis. Kenke equivalent to the weight of a sachet of water costs an average of 56 cedis. That's 23.8% more than a year ago. Perhaps most important, the Kenke index found the best value for Kenke in December at Weija, Teshi, Koligono, Nungwa, and Mamprobi. Okay. Then it says the average selling price of a ball of Kenke at the end of 2023 was 87 cedis, up 40.7%, from 2 cedis 75 pesos in December 2022. Now, it says the most common price on the market was 4 cedis, up from 3 cedis a year before. How much kenkey does one get for each Ghana cedi? On the average, 4 grams. In December 2022, that was 136.4 grams of kenkey. So kenkey shrunk by 16.9% over the year. Then it says, imagine a sachet of water were a ball of kenkey. Kenkey of that weight will cost on average 56 cedis.
So, in summary, what he's saying is that the dominant price as at December was 4 cedis.
Yes.
And that 5 cedis had come to stay. So a lot of people were selling at 5 and 2 cedis is gone. And that on top of that, the weight has shrunk.
So now this is what it says here on this one. The 5 cedi kenkey entered the market in April. While the 2 cedi kenkey disappeared in November. Kenkey prices now range from 3 cedis to 5 cedis. And it says, as to be expected, the higher the price, the heavier the kenkey. But if one's goal was to get the most kenkey for one's money, the best bet currently is the 3 cedi. But not all kenkey are created equal. And it goes on and on and on. So the project lead is a Kobnaidu, and very creative person.
And very
even in the States. Data analyst and research assistant Michael Lama. With the social media support from Benjamin Eduafuata Jr. and Felicia Fua Atta. And the data collection, transportation support was Isaac Corban and Richard Kwaku. And I celebrate this team. This is so
commendable. Commendable.
Yes,
so why did the Greek minister lie that we are buying kenkey today in 2024 2 cedis?
From this, I'm just going to take it from this particular.
I've sent it to you.
I have a copy. Yes. I was even following you as you were there. This research, the takeaway from this research suggests that one, average price of kenkey is not 5 Ghana cedi. As of the last, it's 4 Ghana cedi. That's the first thing. The second point you need to know, depending on where you buy the kenkey, prices are bound to differ. That's the second point. Yes. The third point is that depending on the amount you are buying, the size of the kenkey will differ.
You mean the price at
which you buy? A 3 cedi kenkey may not be as hefty as a 5 cedi kenkey.
Yes.
These are the take-home from that particular research.
To add to the take-home,
the
2 cedis kenkey has vanished.
Yes, it's gone.
I'll make that to the take-home.
I'll make the point. Even the 2 cedi kenkey, as of now, is no more from the research. Yes. However, as at last year, you could get kenkey. Maybe the time Okoboy probably spoke.
No. Was 2 weeks.
I'm saying that the last time he went to the market or he went to buy a kenkey.
Dr. Okoboy clarified his statement. When I pushed him, he said that the 2 cedis is wholesale price.
Not retail price.
So
we are not wholesale.
Why you go and buy it from buffer stock?
So I think that this has helped the kenkey propaganda. This has helped the kenkey propaganda.
Sami,
let me make my point. For the purpose of this research has settled the propaganda either on the side of government or on the side of the opposition on this kenkey politics.
What propaganda has it set
the
on
propaganda
the side of
that kenkey price is going for 5 cedi. And
yes,
even elsewhere,
5 cedis has come to stay.
No, but
it is a new price now. And he said the 5 cedis price has come to stay.
The research he said it has come to stay. It is making entry.
Has entered. It made entry in November last year. It made entry in November last year. That's what it said.
What is the average price?
In April.
In April.
No, we shouldn't be talking to something that is before us.
Yes.
Okay, differently. The man in history stated clearly that average price of kenkey
dominant.
Use the right word.
The dominant is
4.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yes, and you said the new price is 5.
When you say a dominant price.
So gentlemen, we all read the same thing. Let me just.
Yes.
And if what I've said is wrong, you can both correct me. The research shows that in the month of April 2023, the 5 cedi kenkey entered the Ghanaian market. Prior to April, there was no kenkey at 5 cedis. But April 2023, 5 cedi kenkey entered the market. Exactly. November 2023, 2 cedi kenkey vanished from the market. Now, the lowest you can get for a ball of kenkey is 3 cedis. The highest is 5 cedis. The dominant price is 4 cedis. That's what it says.
where did that
Now
be?
it says that
Cedis from?
there is also shows us where you can get Kenke at 3 cedis, the cheapest. So it mentions Weja, Teshin, Koligono, and Mamprobi. Those are the places. So those are the 4 places where you can at least get Kenke for 3 cedis. So this is what the research
Yeah,
is.
so that's the point I want to make, that we should never create a perception that the most dominant price in the market for Kenke is 5 cedi. Okay, West is to say 4 cedi. The West.
No, but if he says he buys Kenke at
I'm
Chado for 5
saying
cedis, he
that,
has not spent that.
and I'm also one saying that he's buying Kenke at 3 cedi and even 2 cedi, depending on where. You should ask where the person bought it from. I could buy Kenke in Tamale, say for 2 cedi. The location matter. Okay, so in all this analysis, let us also be fair to people that much as their research is based in Accra and they have done an extensive work on this in Accra, there are other places. Someone can equally argue that I bought my Kenke for 2 cedi. The question you need to ask the person is, where did you buy it from? And then we then go to check. So, but for the purpose of analysis, we have to use the 4 cedi because that is what is prevalent in the market. That's the point I want to make. Now, before this matter on Kenke prices, my brother Semi Jemfi mentioned a lot of issues on the economy. And I think that it's proper and fair to respond to them. You see,
go ahead.
I do not want to be one person, and in fact, that is the general demeanor of government now. If you listen to the president, if you listen to the vice president, our general attitude is that you will need to be careful when you are discussing issues of the economy, especially those bordering on the lifestyle and living standards of people. And to that extent, you will want people to know that as government, listening government for that matter, you empathize and sympathize with their situation. So it will be arrogance of power. It will be highly, if you like, political immorality for you to look Ghanaian on the face to say that things are all well with the Ghanaian people. None of the government functionaries, no single person will come to you with this kind of posture. However, when you are forced, when you are pushed, when an alternate in government, when people who have had the benefit of leading the country are making such demands and claims and pushing the government to the wall, government has a responsibility of reminding them as well that, you see, if this comment is made by someone on the streets of Accra, I'll be very careful of how I respond to the person. But if a political actor, no less a person but a communication director of a major opposition party that was in government some 8 years ago, that left government some 8 years ago, they are making such claims, you are duty bound to remind them that the figures you are bundling and peddling around are the same figures and metrics we are going to measure you and see and to determine whether or not you have a moral right of questioning the government leadership and management of the economy. This is why sometimes we come about with such difference. It's not a difference to say that all is well with the Ghanaian people. It's not a difference to suggest that things should not be better. It's not a difference to say that government is not working to improving the laws of the Ghanaian people. That is not the difference. The difference is to the fact that those people making the claims and pushing and jabbing and punching government, we are equally duty bound to remind them. He mentioned issues about inflation. We have litigated that and we've narrowed that to the Kenke inflation. He mentioned issues about lending rate. Under their tenure, between 2013 and 16, they did an average lending rate of 27.3%. Okay? Normal situation. Normal curve. Nothing of a disaster, nothing of a, exogenous factor. That was the normal routine progression, the trajectory of when you average every performance of
when
that.
When did we have the financial crisis? The global financial crisis?
The global financial crisis was in 2008, 2007, 2008.
Okay.
That was the time of the bubble. Okay, the financial crisis was 2007, 2008. So even that was the ending urban stage of Kufuor's government. This was their performance. Now, this government, even in the midst of the economic disaster that no country is immune from, that every single country, even countries that were recording negative inflation, People refer to Cote d'Ivoire. They were doing single digit. They were doing even sometimes negative inflation figures. They have all increased their rates of inflation. Not even one single country has been spared the brunt of this inflation. Now, you come to Ghana and say that Ghana should be an oasis. It should be a state that is so immune from this particular exogenous factor. That cannot be said to be right. You cannot expect the government to be an isolation in the community of nations. You can't expect Ghana to be independent of the interdependent relations with other countries. Now, their record of 27.3% in terms of interest rate is performing abysmally against the 23% average. Under this guy, admittedly, inflation interest rate went to as much as 30% last year, 2022, 2023. And we've all explained the factors attributed to that. He mentioned about exchange rate. Again, if you are looking at the dollar...
Can we finalize on the interest rates before we move on?
Okay.
So what has been the average of the interest rates from 2021 till now?
2021 till now.
Yes.
I've not done the year on year.
I'm asking that question because you did an average of 2013 to 2016.
Yes.
That's what I'm asking you.
Yes.
About the average for 2021 to 2022.
The average for 2027 to 2022 was 23 point.
2021 to 2024.
I've not done the average for the last 2 years. You are saying 2022, but the average.
No, I'm saying 2021 to 2024 to the current.
2020. We don't have the current figure because it's
so
year on year.
End of year.
So it is supposed to be. It's supposed 2021 to 2023, maybe.
Yes.
And
what is that?
If I on the back of the envelope calculation, we are going to be doing around 28 to 30% because of the increase of 30%. For 2022, moving 2023. Okay, that is, if I have to be fair, this will be the numbers. Similar to just closer to their numbers when they were exiting or the performance for their whole tenure. So it cannot be said that even the government performance in the midst of this disaster is so bad compared to their record. Now, he mentioned about exchange rate. Again, I cannot look at the businessman on the face to tell him that exchange rate of $1 to 13 Ghana cedi is defensible. I cannot look them on the face and say that there's nothing wrong with that figure. I cannot be so careless to the trader at Makuhala to say that inflation rate at this particular is something that we should celebrate ourselves of. But if Mr. Sami Gyamfi raises it, I have equally duty bound to remind them that, look, the rate of the depreciation of our cedi was a disaster under your regime. And that is why I'll come in with the averages and the performance over their tenure. And I'll remind him that under their tenure, the cedi depreciated by some 17.7% between the period 2013-2016. Okay, even with the about over 50%, 30 to 50% depreciation of a currency in the midst of the disaster, we performed some 10% depreciation over our period.
Which period?
2016 to 2023.
No, but Chief, hold on now. You are a researcher. Yeah. Why do you want to compare 2016 to 2023 to 2013 to 2016? Why do you do that?
I would maybe if you ask me to do 2016 to 2020, it is even better.
No.
It's even better. Let me tell you, it's even better.
No, you're not listening to me. I'm saying that if you decide to do 2017 to 2023, then I expect that you do a 2009 to 2016. Yeah. But you don't do a 2013 to a 2016 and compare it to a 2017 to 2023.
And I'm saying that granted that argument because you want the time
you disagree with me?
No, I'm saying granted that argument because you want the time horizon to be similar. You want a common denominator.
Shouldn't that be the case?
No, that should be the case. Okay. But I'm saying that even if we limit it to the first tenure of this government,
no, we're not asking for the first
we have to because we've not exhausted. Yes. And it's not be candid for you to analyze 3 years against 4 years. Okay. So the basis for comparison would have been the 4 years and then the 4 years of the now.
So 2009 to 2012.
Not 2000. It's not Mr. It is Mr. John Dramani Mahama, and there are those we are comparing. That is the record we are contesting. You are not contesting all the figures from independence. We are contesting a regime that was led by Mr. John Dramani Mahama and a regime led by Mr. Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, which they want to explicate to mean that.
So to the extent that Mr. Mahama was not president for 8 years, how will you do the comparison?
You will do the 4 years of each of them. Mr. Nana Addo Akufo-Addo's 4 years, and then the 4 years of Mr. Mahama.
So what you're telling me is that although President Akufo-Addo is president today,
yes,
and we are in 2024, to compare his record with President Mahama,
exactly,
we should do, and because President Mahama was in office for 4 years, we should look at the 4 years of President Mahama, 2013 to 2016, and compare it to the first 4 years of President Akufo-Addo.
No, let me explain. Now, there are two ways you can do it. Because of the argument that the denominator should be the same, okay, then we'll have to use either the 5 years of Mr. John Dramani Mahama, because he was president for about a year. No, I'm saying for about a year.
For 5 months.
Okay, so let's even say the 4 months. You have to use the 4 months against 4 months of Nana Akufo-Addo government. That is going to be the fair and appropriate analysis. However,
really?
Yes. However, because Nana Akufo-Addo is over a period,
yes,
from 2017 to 2023 now,
yes,
you may have to use all the period against all the period of Mr. Mahama.
Yes.
And that's basically what we are doing, and you are questioning, because it is only the period that we mentioned that sometimes you see that this is Mr. Mahama's regime. So you only use all the period that he was in government and all the period that Mr. Akufo-Addo has been in government to do the analysis.
So you are saying that, once again, you are saying that from a research point of view, it is professional and okay to compare a 4-year tenure with a 7.5-year tenure.
It is okay, depending on the goal you want to achieve. It is
so which is the goal you want to achieve? The goal
I want to achieve is that I will want to compare what you were able to do with the time given to you, with what I was able to do with the time given to you. And what's explaining for that, I'll have to make provision against the length of time. In fact, in research, you have to control for the time. Because the more time you are given, the more likely you are likely to do things right.
Right.
Okay? So that is what I'm saying, that I will have to control for the time. If you're asking me from a proper research perspective,
yes,
that if I'm using 3 years against 5 years, I have to control for the time effect.
Yes.
Said that the analysis will be fair.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm saying that when I do that, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
Comparing 3 years with 5 years.
No, the only thing is that you didn't control.
No,
that is
that's
why I
not
asked you. Yes.
So but your question was whether it is proper to do that or not. And again, if I want to have the same time horizon, so that the denominator will be the same, I'll have to use 4 years of each. And the 4 years, the only proper way to examine the 4 years is 4 expended years of the person. Said that your mandate was not in any way truncated. That's the only basis you can do the analysis. Because I cannot go and use 4 years of someone completed term against 3 years or possible 4 years of another completed term. You are measuring reality, a fact, against something like a conjecture, which is not going to be proper analysis. So that's something that there's absolutely nothing wrong. The only problem you may raise is that how do we control for the time factor? And the time factor
that's the question I've been asking you all morning.
I'm coming. The time factor also plays a negative role in you, depending on how you look at it. For instance, a time frame for you to do writing, but also a time for a disaster to hit you, which wouldn't have hit you if you were not within that time period. So that cancels out, in my opinion. So that is the point we need to note. But under their regime, the depreciation of the currency...
Is it not simplified? All the talking we're talking. Is it not simple to just compare the 8 years of the NDC and the 8 years of the NPP?
It is, if we are doing government by government, and it is simple. But NPP has not extended the 8 years. So it is even more complicated. We've not done 8 years.
Yes.
So you are again.
Are you saying that we cannot still do the period that has been expended? Let's say, for example, You have a 2009 to a 2015.
Exactly.
And you have a 2017 to a 2023. Can that be done?
That can be done.
And
I'm saying
is that not the best approach?
No. That's what I'm saying. Depending on the goal. If you are measuring, if the person we are so much focused about, the person giving the punch, the person, discrediting our record, is Mr. Mahama.
Yes.
Okay. You'll be willing to tell.
But the same Mr. Mahama you're talking about was the vice president from 2009 to 2012. The same Mr. Mahama was the head of the economic management team. Hold on. The same Mr. Mahama, the vice president, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, in 2016, told us that he had been in charge of the economy for 8 years. 4 years as chairman of the economic management team and 4 years as president. So why are you unwilling to look at that tenure as against?
I am saying that we are ever ready to do a comparison of the MPP's tenure 8 years and the NDC tenure 8 years and go on with the debate.
So let's just do
we're
that.
We're not running away from that debate.
Yeah, let's just do that.
We're not running away
so it's
from
fair.
that debate.
So everybody
understands.
So
we're not running from that. But I'm just saying that if Mr. Mahama was not the president, you cannot hold Mr. Mahama, who was not the president, for the acts ultimately of the NDC government. Under the period, he was only a driver. He was only a spare driver.
That's not what the current vice president, Alhaji Bawumia, that's not what he told us. And I can play that video to you. He held President Mahama responsible. And he said that he had been in charge of the economy for 8 years. And he broke it down.
But he said he had been president for 8 years.
He broke it down to say that he chaired the economic management team for 4 years and was president for 4 years. He said that. Yes, on record.
Yeah, but the same thing is being said of Dr. Bawumia. Nothing different. The same thing is being said of Dr. Bawumia. Mr. Sami Gyamfi, basically saying the same thing. So that is not, I'm not even going to that kind of, argument. Because as it was said of Mr. Mahama, it can be said of Mr. Bawumia. And we can go on and go with the analysis. But let's even go to the growth. The measure, the ultimate measure of whether you are doing well or not, even though growth could be covered by inequalities, even though growth could be masked by structural problems, said that you can have a high growth rate, but within the higher growth rate, there are persistent and chronic poverty incidences around the economy. That is fair and good to say. But when you did a growth rate just within the same analysis of around 2.7%, someone is doing 6%, you cannot say that person is not doing better than you. You cannot say that. But of course, in all these numbers, we don't want the Ghanaian people to feel like it's business as usual. We don't want the Ghanaian people to feel like, look, we feel that things are okay. If in the estimation of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, things were okay, and that he had done so well, and that everything was all right, and there was nothing new to add, he will not be seeking to become the president of the Republic of Ghana on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party. He will not be doing that. Okay? He would be doing that because he feels that a lot of things are still not right with the way governance is done, with the way the economy is being run, with the way the fortunes of the Ghanaian people and the living standard of the Ghanaian people. Okay? He mentioned issue about unemployment. Okay? Yes, unemployment is still high. There are a lot of graduates still on the street without jobs. People are being churned out of the university. But he has also forgot to admit that this government has created more jobs than they did. Even though, per person, you may say this is still lower than what we expect. He has still to admit, even on this...
Why is it that when it came to employment, you are going nominal and not percentages?
No, look, even with the percentages, the figures have been contested.
Which figures?
The figures
from
of
the statistical service?
Yeah, the unemployment rate.
Not the figures from the statistical service?
The statistical figure, people use a point in time. Okay. And that's the problem with analysis. When you are doing percentages, it must be in unemployment rate as at the end of, say, this year. Okay. Compare the unemployment rate as against last year, end in December. That is the only basis. But people come and some people come and through an unemployment rate of, say, 14%.
Yes.
That was produced by the Ghana Statistical Service.
Yes.
Forgetting that inherent in this are seasonal unemployment. Okay? Inherent in this are casual workers who probably are gone out of work, and in the next season they are going to be employed. These figures will keep on changing.
But are those things not inherent in the previous figures. They are all inherent.
No, if
I take 2016 unemployment rates, inherent in that seasonal employment and all those things is there.
That's what I'm saying. But you are using the end period.
Yes.
You are using the end period because you know that at the end of the year, we had this much of Ghanaians unemployed as a percentage of the total number of people willing and looking for a job.
Yes.
It is 14%.
Yes.
I'll compare that with the same metric, say the next year or the previous year, and that's the basis. But that's what it is contested because we use figures that are thrown by the Ghana Statistical Service at a point in time, but not end period. And you want to compare that with an end period figure. That's why I have problem with the unemployment rate. Okay. And also, when you are using the unemployment rate, you will be, because it's a percentage of the population willing and looking for a job, you'll be right. But you are not also counting for, as it were, the population growth. You are not controlling for the rate of population growth and even the access to education. Because if I am employed with employment skills, now willing to looking for a job, I'll consider myself as unemployed. Hitherto, I was not minded about that. I was doing my my menial job. I was thinking that it is okay to do that, and I'll consider myself as employed. Okay, Kaya people, for instance, would be deemed themselves as employed.
But that will always be the case, because if you look at school enrollment, for example, the people who were going through the system, the school system, as at 2007, 2008, and those who are going through the school system as at 2015, 2016, obviously you have that huge disparity. Yet, we are able to compare unemployment figures as at 2008 and 2016.
Yes.
And we have done that consistently.
I'm not saying that.
So why would we want to raise all these issues just because the percentages don't tell so good a story about us?
No, even the percentages, government has got figures from international bodies, from even the Ghana Statistical Service, suggesting that the figures are different from what has been. That's what I'm saying. Once you have doubt as to which figures or as to
I'm sticking with the Statistical Services figures.
Well and good. We can stick to that. So my issue with all this is that, look, when you do this, the numbers are bound to vary. Okay, we can talk of absolute. They were talking about absolute even in their regime. Okay, that granted that unemployment rate is so high. Let's even grant it without admitting the unemployment rate is higher than it was. Okay, without mentioning any of these particular figures, without mentioning of these particular variables we are trying to introduce into the analysis, they must equally also admit that this government, day in, day out, has provided for the needs of the people seeking jobs through concrete intervention that they never did. Natural progression of things against systematic and conscious efforts of government to reduce unemployment. Just on this particular list, some 50,000 people through the Ghana apprenticeship program. Okay, the government has revolutionized COTVET or CTVET. Now, as a general body, in order to make sure that our people have the skills to be employed, we never saw most of these things happening. We didn't see those things happening under the previous regime, where we can trace the remnants of some isolated and piecemeal interventions being introduced by that previous government. But this is more concerted. So on the issue of unemployment and employment, this government is working. Again, I don't want to be an unemployed graduate listening to me right now will feel saddened that I feel like all is okay. Okay? I don't want that sense to be created. But what I want for them to understand is that government is doing what it can. Government believes in the ingenuity of the Ghanaian people. We believe that more could be done to improve the loss of the Ghanaian people. But compared to the government that is seeking to represent the New Patriotic Party, the government is of the considered opinion that it dare have no moral right to say that give back the country to me. Of course, the argument could also be raised that I'm now an experienced driver, I learned from my mistake, and so give me from that. But what is the guarantee that you will not even drive us to the abyss, knowing very well that you don't have another term to extend? Because the only contractual binding moral obligation of any government is because the government will want to seek a second tenure. Okay? That makes you want to be, consciously or unconsciously to be, the fidelity to the Ghanaian people will be there because you want another tenure. But a government coming without seeking another tenure, the president coming, knowing very well that this is all what I've got, 4 years. to really plunge this country into.
It is about the person and not the political party.
But persons are we are running an executive government, and if we will be candid to the Ghanaian people, we will know that presidents are the alpha and omega of how governance is run in the country, not the political party. Because the constitution of Ghana has not recognized the role of political parties, except to say that we should sponsor people either on political parties or as independent candidates. That's it. That is the end.
So that must explain what's happening in the second term of the MPP.
I don't know what's happening in the second term of the MPP. Unless, of course, you explain to me what's happening in the second term of the MPP.
No, I mean, the issue of I'm not seeking re-election theory. That's your theory. I'm trying to use that theory to explain what Ghanaians are facing today.
No, I'm saying that.
The theory of not seeking re-election leading to no fiduciary responsibility and therefore doing anything that you want to do.
But that's not...
Is that theory that you postulated? That's what I'm trying to make...
That theory is a valid theory, but as to whether that is happening in the current circumstances...
You don't want us to test your theory?
No, we can test it, and we have to...
You want us to conjecture? No. And we have a basis to test the theory today.
No, we can test it. For me, we can test the theory.
But do you believe that theory is what is happening today?
I don't believe that theory is what is happening today.
So if you don't believe that theory is what is happening today, how do you expect us to believe that is a theory that will happen in the future?
I'm not saying that. I said that could happen.
Okay, all right. Okay, I get you.
I'm saying that could happen.
I get you.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
First of all, let me just deal with this because it is one of the main plans of their campaign. Meeting pastors and groups of people, telling them that don't vote for Mahama because Mahama, when elected, only has one term.
Is it not a fact?
He will not be seeking re-election. He will not feel accountable to the people of this country. You see, whether or not a person will be accountable to a nation when given the opportunity to serve is not dependent on the number of terms the person can run. It has to do with the attributes of the person. Whether the person has respect for the electorate and the people, whether the person is honest and accountable, whether the person is a person who takes responsibility for problems and fix those problems. It's about the proven track record of the person. It's about the trustworthiness of the person. It's not about the number of times the person can run again. You understand? And the vast majority of Ghanaians know that President Mahama is trustworthy. You can take him at his word. What he promises, he delivers. They know that this is an experienced hand who can steer us out of the mess we find ourselves in because he has done it before. They know that President Mahama is a leader who accepts responsibility for problems like he accepted responsibility for Dumsor, which was an inherited problem, promised to fix it and fixed it sustainably. And so they see his track record. They see his attributes and virtues as a leader. And they can trust him that when given a second term, just like all presidents under this Fourth Republic have been given second terms, he will be accountable and he will deliver. You see, in their haste to discredit President Mahama, they are contradicting themselves and making a mockery of themselves in the process. And that is what just happened. Here you are saying that if a person cannot have the right to run for another term, then that person cannot be trusted. You are postulating a theory only for you to be exposed. Have you soon forgotten that in 2020, your campaign slogan was "For more to do more"? You had already done one term. President Akufo-Addo had done one term. And he wanted another term, and he told Ghanaians, give me 4 more years to do 4 more for you. He knew very well that he could not seek another term in 2024. So why didn't Dr. Kabiru and the MPP tell Ghanaians that, look, Nana Addo is lying. If you give him another term, he can't go for a third term.
His theory is that to the extent that he knew he was going to go for a second term, he worked extremely hard.
So
that he will get a mandate for the second term.
If we are going by his theory, then no party deserves a second term. Because under our constitutional dispensation, the president can only run for 2 terms. And so when you are coming to seek the second term, we have to say that because you will not come back to us for another term, then we are not giving it to you. The paucity of thinking. What kind of warped, bogus theory is that? So in other words, we're saying you lied to the people of this country when you told Ghanaians to give you 4 more to do more. So, Doc, it's not about whether somebody can seek 1 term and all that. You see, the success of a leader doesn't lie in the number of years he serves. It's about the impact. What Ghana needs today is a leader who has done it before, a leader with a proven track record. Look at President Mahama's record. In all sectors, whether it is health, whether it is education, even in the area of the economy, look at problems that hit this country under his tenure like Dumso, and look at how he solved those problems. Sustainably, whether it was in the area of fuel, he gave us the biggest investment in that sector, the $1 billion Atuabo gas processing factory. Today, it says that $300 million per annum in the imports of gas alone. Look at the ESLA he gave us, which has given you over 24 billion, meant to clear the legacy debts in the power sector. A legacy problem. He dealt with a legacy problem. Look at the power, the generation capacity he gave us. Almost 5,000 megawatts at the time he was leaving office. When he was in office, less than 2,000. He increased it to over 5,000. That today, because of your bankruptcy in ideas, you are even complaining about excess power. On top of that, the man was so forward-looking that he left you a Ghana Infrastructural and Investment Fund. Now, tell me which government in the history of this Fourth Republic, which leader came to govern this country and at the time he was leaving, set up an investment fund with $250 million in it for the next government to use for strategic investments in infrastructure. A leader who set up a sinking fund. Tell me, from President Rawlings to Atta Mills to Kufuor to John Mahama to Akufo-Addo, tell me one leader who after leaving office or at the point of leaving office saw it necessary to make provision for a fund with money sitting in it to repay a loan contracted by his predecessor. President Kufuor took us to the Eurobond market in 2007 for the first time, contracted a loan of $750 million. President Mahama's government paid $300 million of that. By the time we were leaving office, President Mahama left $250 million in the sinking fund to repay the rest. That is the kind of leader we are looking for. You understand? I have not even spoken about the Ghana Stabilization Fund, which was established under the Petroleum Revenue Management Act in 2011, and the monies we accumulated in that fund under President Mahama to the tune of $250 million. Which is what this government had to fall on when COVID struck. Look, this is the kind of visionary, forward-thinking leader we are looking for. So spare us that. You see, though, I'm happy we are having this conversation because it borders on bread and butter issues, which the people watching us are interested in and which they really appreciate. You see? And so when we are commenting on these issues, we need to be candid, Dr. Kabiru. Why are we having this conversation? We are having this conversation because Dr. Randiabe reminded us that only yesterday, the Minister of Agric publicly stated that as a result of the successes of your so-called Planting for Food and Jobs program, a ball of kenke today is selling at 2 cedis. We know, as a matter of fact, that is a bare-faced lie. We have seen the data, at least on kenke prices in Accra. And we know that the lowest price you can get for kenke today in the market in Accra is 3 cedis in some few places. But that the dominant price is 4 cedis. And that the latest price on the market, which is the price at which kenke is going for in other places, is 5 cedis. So the Minister for Agric lied. What I said was true, that I buy kenke at Usu and Chadu at 5 cedis. And you can check that for yourself. And the research confirms that. Safe to say that that is the new price that has entered the market, but the dominant price is 4 cedis. You said that, somebody can buy kenke in Tamale. Look, I just got countless messages from your constituents in
Wale. And I wanted to be sure before I read. So I checked with my Northeast communication officer to confirm, and he has confirmed it.
But your communication officer is doing
No, I believe you. I believe you. Look, I believe him. I will read it to you. He says that even in Wale, somebody, this is not my house, but I wanted to confirm.
Yes.
Even in Wale, a ball of kenke is 5 cedis.
Hey.
It's not
Yes.
true. It's not true.
And he said that the cheapest price you can get is 3 Ghana cedis.
It's not,
I've gotten messages from Tamale because you mentioned Tamale.
Safe to say that Dr. Kabiru didn't say that kenke at Wale was 2 cedis.
Yeah, I
He
didn't
said
say that.
you can. He was trying to give certain examples.
On the location,
But I'm trying to tell you that
location
I've
the
gotten
person
messages from
branded
Kumasi that in Kumasi at Doom, kenke is ranging between 3 cedis and 7 cedis. 7 cedis.
Why? Is it the size of my head?
I am telling you, 7 cedis. Tamale, they say the lowest price is 3 cedis. The average price now 4 cedis, and in some places 5 Ghana cedis. Yeah. So that your 2 cedis
Tamale is not like Accra.
So that is the point I'm making. The 2 cedis is 4s. Now let's even say the dominant price is 4 cedis. That is what we need to work with. With 5 cedis, people also selling at 5 cedis and so on. And a few places selling at 3 cedis, fine.
A few places 5.
Why should the price of kenke?
Few places 5.
Why should a ball of kenke, which was going for 1 cedi under John Mahama, and President Akufo-Addo was doing kenke politics on the campaign platform, that the ball of kenke should not be sold at 1 cedi? Why should it be sold at 4 cedis? When you have spent billions of cedis on the Planting for Food and Jobs program to increase the production of maize with the aim of reducing the price of maize and, for that matter, the price of kenke. Kenke is made from maize, right? How come that under President Mahama, when we didn't boast of Planting for Food and Jobs program, a bag of maize, the big size, was 170 Ghana cedis? And today, a bag of maize in Accra here is more than 700 Ghana cedis. Please.
I think you are.
Why? When you were complaining about a bag of maize and the price of kenke in 2008, you didn't know about the cost of transportation. Who is to blame for that high cost of transportation? Who is supposed to manage the cost of fuel? The factors that go into the pricing of fuel, exchange rate, taxes, and so on, to make sure that the price of fuel is low, so that transportation can be affordable, for it not to lead to hyperinflation. Who is supposed to do that? It is you. So when you fail to do your work, you can't turn around to use that as an excuse. Doc, he says that in terms of the economy, they have done better. His boss has said so. President Akufo-Addo has said so at the 2024 SONA and so on. And let's settle this issue here once and for all, Dr. Kabiru. You people must credit Ghanaians with some respect. How can you dress up, come and sit in the studios of Metro TV, and even get the courage to say that the economy is doing well? The economy is doing better. That in terms of the economic indices, if you want to look at averages or whatever, performance, your performance is better than us. Yeah, and that we have been in office before.
That's unfair to him.
Why?
He says that they all appreciate the challenging times and the difficulties. Yeah. However, you, and I'm paraphrasing what he's saying, you, when I say you, I mean the NDC, mounting the moral high ground.
We shouldn't mount the moral high ground because they have done better than us.
It's what will push them to do a comparative analysis.
So let's do the comparative analysis.
That ordinarily, they will not do a comparative analysis.
Let's do the comparative analysis. But before we even do the comparative analysis, let's deal with this proviso. The general proviso they always give. That, we acknowledge that the economy is in a mess. However, because the NDC people,
you've always
hold on. So you have acknowledged, but that acknowledgement is not sincere.
Why is it not sincere?
Somebody cannot tell you, I know you are suffering, but when you give that person money to prepare food for you in the house, he squanders the money. You know we are suffering, and you are wasting money on the so-called National Cathedral. You've wasted about 500 million cedis.
But you went
in building the biggest hole in the whole world.
They went in commission.
Yes. Look. No remorse. No confusion. You see yourself. You are making fun of it.
I think
it's making fun of your commissioning.
He will make fun because you see he doesn't feel for even his constituents. I just got a message from Wale. Somebody says I should tell you that in certain communities in your constituency where you want to be MP, which is the hometown of the Vice President Alhaji Bawumia, human beings are still competing, excuse my language, with ghosts Okay? In terms of drinking water, they are drinking from the same streams as goats. I want to get you the names of the community so that when you come and sit here and we are discussing these serious matters, you will not be laughing.
Is it Bukuya and Teneba?
Bukuya and Teneba. You got that message too. Bukuya and Teneba. Please. No, I didn't interject you. No, when it gets to your time, no problem.
No, let me call the
What's the name?
Right.
Bukuya,
Teneba. We have the person tells you Tia Noba and Bukuya.
Tia Noba and Bukuya.
Tia Noba and Bukuya.
Thanks for the correction.
No,
no, it's my time. Let me
take notes.
The point is, you can't say, I acknowledge times are hard. I acknowledge times are hard. Yet you go for one cabinet retreat and spend 48 billion OCDs on one cabinet retreat. You can't say, I acknowledge times are hard. I acknowledge.
What did they spend in the current series? How much?
4.8 million cedis.
Okay.
One cabinet meeting. You can't say, we acknowledge times are hard. And yet you go for one Independence Day celebration, 6 March. At Cape Coast and spend 10.4 million new cedis, what you like, which is equivalent to 104 billion old Ghana cedis. So you are insulting our sensibilities by pretending to acknowledge that times are hard when you are abusing the public purse, stealing from the people and so on. You cannot, that acknowledgement is not sincere, that's the point. But now let's do the comparison.
So hold on.
Under you. Hold on.
Hold on. I need to take a break. Hold on. We're back shortly.
All right. You need to make money.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ampedu.
Good afternoon, Mr. San.
How is business doing?
My business is collapsing.
Why is your business collapsing?
I sold my products and services to my clients on credit, and my debtors are not paying their debt.
Have you heard of Rosic Consult Limited, a debt recovery company operating in all the 16 regions of Ghana?
Not at all.
Mr. Ampedu, all you need to do is to contact them on their customer service line. I recommend Rosic Consult Limited, a debt recovery company to financial institutions, businessmen and businesswomen, other companies, and also individuals. Rosic Consult has 98.4% debt recovery rate. We have professional debt recovery managers. You are assured of swift debt recovery. No recovery, no commission. For Rosic Consult Limited, no more write-offs. And we pre-finance the recovery ourselves.
This is a call to you. The dreamers. The ones that see no boundaries.
Dreamers take a chance.
The explorers that chart their own path.
Along the vibes, connect the energy.
The ones that dare to challenge the status quo.
Get connected, feel the
When others try to think outside the box, you wonder, what box?
Catch the wave, enjoy the ride.
To the architects of their journeys. Every connection is an opportunity to explore every experience. This is your call to adventure. Your journey begins here. Be bold, be daring, be free. Connecting passions, connecting dreams, connecting ambitions. Telecel, connecting energies.
We are back, bringing you the latest lineup from Betway. Betway starts strong with their front two, with Free Play Friday and Swipe Bet. In the middle, you've got all the control with Cash Out and Build a Bet. Plus, with Win Boost, you can boost your sports bet. At the back, they have Smart Picks and the partial daily jackpot.
You always get way more with Betway.
This advert has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet responsibly. No under 18. Terms and conditions apply. Betway. Get way more.
Over 18 years in business, Appointed Time Printing Limited has delivered quality service to some of Ghana's well-known brands. With our equipment capacity, we are able to deliver 1,500 pieces of polo and t-shirts in 1 hour. This is only possible with us. For retailers and wholesalers, we offer for sale high-quality polo shirts and t-shirts in different colors at affordable prices. We have a one-stop shop for all creative designs and billboards, 3D signages, flexi banners, car branding, stickers and posters. Locate us at the old GNTC building near Swansea Shopping Arcade, Accra. Contact us on 0501 454165, 0501 454167. Connect with us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook at Appointed Time GH. Appointed Time Printing Limited. Our printing is a
Enjoy the fruits of your labor, they say. But as humans, aging and physical infirmity stands our way of enjoying our mansions and homes. It often becomes challenging, if not impossible, to use our stairways day in, day out. With portable American pneumatic vacuum elevators, PVs, you are assured of unlimited enjoyment of your mansions and homes. It's a self-supported elevator for vertical movement of humans and goods at homes and offices. The original comes in 3 custom-made models with wheelchair accessibility. Call it luxury, but it's a necessary imperative for vertical mobility. Do not let aging or infirmity limit you. Get one for your easy vertical mobility at home. It's affordable and can be installed in just 3 days without modification to your existing building. It's however easier to incorporate it at the construction stage. We also have traditional Fuji elevators and escalators for your high-rise buildings and malls. Visit Lifts and Elevators Company Limited at Sakumono for your elevators nationwide. For free consultation to call or WhatsApp us on 0200-535-515. Lifts and Elevators, the elevator people.
Anti-cavity, gum protection, brighter teeth and fresh bread.
I'm a Missy Wayne.
The Pacho Bantama.
Matiasi.
That's so thankful.
Her smile,
the fresh breath.
Me, Gidi said we used to Cal 360 toothpaste. Some kind. Cal 360 toothpaste.
That's Kia. Cal 360 toothpaste. It's a gum protector. Onim jom kasan. Kile kosen. Cal 360 did the one. It's cool mint. Gives me fresh breath and your confidence booster.
You will see so feeling kika when you know Cal 360 toothpaste.
Happy.
Cal 360 toothpaste, anti-cavity, gum protection, brighter teeth, and fresh breath. Kel, happy smile. This advert is FDA approved.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. Still with me on the show, I have Dr. Tiaka Biru Mahama and Sami Jemfi. But what does wealth mean to you? Do you want to live like a tycoon? Remember, us got the Mola, got the power. Ghana's newest lottery game draws live on Adom TV at 9 a.m., 12 noon, and 6 p.m. daily. Now pick up your phones, tablets, and computers and download the GamePad Games app on Play Store. You can also play on the website at www.gamepadgames.com or by dialing *946# on all networks. Just choose 4 numbers from 0 to 9. It's easy to play and easy to win. Charlie, make we play this game and make some mola. Nobody beats our odds in Ghana. GamePad Games, more mola, more power. This game is regulated by the National Lottery Authority and is not for persons under 18. Play responsibly. Ayasoko, that could somewhat down be big, but Betway's cash out be bigger. Betway is giving you more control Over every thrilling bet you place, enjoy the biggest and most reliable cash out in Ghana on Betway without any hassle. Sign up today at betway.com.gh. Terms and conditions apply, not for persons under 18. This is regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Betway, get way more. And Blue Jeans energy drink has been on the Ghanaian market for over 20 years. We already know what it does for the body. It contains vitamins and nutrients like vitamin B2, B3, B6, B12, as well as taurine and guarana, which are known to boost your strength and energy as well as promote high performance and endurance. Blue Jeans energy drink has been tested and tried. It's indeed the best. Blue Jeans energy drink is for bold and active men and women. So go and grab a cold can and power your day. It's in shops nationwide. For bulk purchases, contact Budget Cash and Carry Limited on 0208 128 190 or 055 001 0000. Sammy?
Yeah, look. You see, the point I was making is that nobody, who has a modicum of respect of Ghanaians, a modicum of respect for the truth, can say that this incumbent Akufo-Addo Bawumia NPP government has performed better than the actual NDC Mahama government. I don't see how anybody can make such a statement because it's simply not true. And in fact, that comparison is even a non-starter. Because number one, today Ghana's economy is a bankrupt economy. If the nation was a human being, if Ghana was a person, say Dr. Kabiru, that person would have filed for bankruptcy. Because the nation has become insolvent. The nation has gotten to a point as a result of the mismanagement and the reckless spending of the Bawumia-led economic management team that today we cannot service our debts. We have defaulted on our debt obligations, imposed a draconian debt restructuring program on domestic bondholders, people who have lent to the government, including pensioners, giving them crude haircuts. As I speak to you, we are still not servicing our external debt obligations. Nations we have borrowed from, France, China, and so on, we can't pay. We are in meetings with them pleading for relief. How can you compare a bankrupt economy, which is what we have today under your watch, to a viable economy under President Mahama, which was able to service its debts? Under President Mahama, if you compare our public debt to our GDP, we had debt to GDP ratio of 56%. By December 2022, debt to GDP had hit 104%. That is what led to our defaults. Under President Mahama, we were servicing our debt. We were a reputable nation. We had access to the international capital market. We could go to the international capital market for Eurobonds. That is the economy President Mahama bequeathed to you. And that is why you recklessly took advantage of that. And every year you contracted approximately $3 billion in Eurobonds. You so much borrowed and spent those borrowed funds recklessly on consumption and corruption that you have defaulted. You can't service our debts. And you still have the audacity, the temerity to want to engage in a debate of comparisons. What is it? There is a verdict out there. The verdict of the sovereign credit rating agencies. Those sovereign rating credit agencies like Moody's, Fitch, Standard & Poor's, they are not NDC, they are not NPP. They pass their verdicts on the state of every economy, the health of every economy, the credit worthiness of every economy. And they have said that under President Mahama, Ghana's economy was rated, they rated as B-. Today, what is the rating? CCC. CCC, for some of the ratings, D. We are in junk status, junk category, baller economy. How can you compare the Mahama economy that was rated B- to your economy that is today rated junk?
Are you not ashamed of yourself? Don't you people have some shame? Don't you people have some shame and respect for Ghanaians? Then the economic indices you spoke about, unemployment. Look, you have economics background. So please, some of the analysis you make, you need to watch it. You can't say that you are challenging what? The unemployment figures published by the Ghana Statistical Service, and that those figures are not end of year figures.
Why can't you challenge?
If you're challenging Ghana Statistical figures, then why are you relying on the same Ghana Statistical figures for inflation? And you're saying that based on Ghana Statistical Services inflation figures, we have seen a drastic reduction.
The point is making, and if I got him right, Doc, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we must do like for like.
Yes.
So if you're doing unemployment figures and you want to do end year or end term, it should be end year or end term to end term.
Is that not what we are doing? No.
That's the point.
Hold on.
Is that not the point?
The Ghana Living Standard Service 7 was conducted in 2016, around August of 2016. Yeah. It returned an unemployment rate of 8.4%. Okay. That can be found at table 5.2.7 of the Ghana Living Standard Service 7 published by the Ghana Statistical Service. The 2021 population census gave us the unemployment rate for the whole year, average unemployment rate for 2021. It was 13.4%.
No, they don't give average. They give, because it's a snapshot. Population census is based on the census night. Okay, dated.
But the census is for what?
No, that was the point I'm explaining.
But the census is for what? When we do the census is for the year 2021. It's giving you the population of Ghana for the year 2021. So whatever point the analysis is done, that the figure, all the figures they publish is for that year 2021.
No, it's not for. It's
Hold on, can I make my analysis? Continue, Even move beyond 2021, 2022, we were giving end of year unemployment rates. End of year. Because the current analysis that the GSS is doing, the annual housing income and expenditure survey that they are doing, which is a novelty that this current boss of the Ghana Statistical Service has introduced. They do it on a quarterly basis. So if you check Q4, you will know the end of year unemployment rate. And the quarter 4 unemployment rate for 2023 was 13.9. The 14.7% we have is for third quarter 2023, because they have not done the fourth quarter for 2023. So if you want to know the unemployment rate for Ghana as of September 2023, when the Q3 ended, that is the latest figure you use.
Yes.
So we are saying that under President Mahama, when he was leaving office, the latest unemployment figure, the last one was 8.4. The latest under you is 14.7. There is nothing wrong with this in terms of statistics or economics or anything. That is, his own creation. So in terms of unemployment, you have performed poorly. And please, it is also not true for you to say that your government has created jobs. What jobs have you created? Why do you people continue to peddle falsehood? What jobs? Is it the NABCO 700 Ghana cedis jobs you created, which has collapsed, and which you have refused to even pay the beneficiaries their 9-month arrears? NABCO, is that the jobs, or is it the Nobwa Bade jobs, under planting for food and jobs, the fertilizer jobs you claim to have created, about 750,000 of it? Is that the jobs you are talking about? What jobs? What jobs? If you are creating jobs like you claim, how come the unemployment rate is not reducing? And forget about what he tries to confuse you.
Because perhaps the population is also increasing.
It is a rate.
Yes.
It is not an absolute nominal figure. It's a rate.
Yes.
So it is still a percent. Either than that, then you can never compare rates.
Yeah, but the rates will also translate into nominal figures.
Exactly. So you can't. He's an economist. He should not be arguing like that. That the population is increasing, so you can't compare unemployment. That is why it's a rate. It's a percentage of the population at any given time.
Yes.
Growth rate is a rate. The size of the economy does not remain static. It keeps on changing. But it is a rate, and that is why you can compare.
Yeah.
So don't make that analysis. Exchange rates. And here, exchange rate interest rate, where he talks about averages and percentages. You know the problem is in economics. I heard on Tuesday Husseini saying that you don't do an analysis of nominal figures. It is false. You can do nominal and then you do percentage.
He didn't say you cannot do.
Oh, he said so. Go and watch the video. I was watching the video. He said it.
That
it is wrong. People do that. It is wrong. It's convenience because he thinks that once you see, but you can do both, and it is done. You do both. You do that. That is why when the Bank of Ghana is reporting our debts, they will give you the nominal and they will give you both. Now the point is, we can't do the percentages they want us to do now because we don't know the figures they are relying on for their percentages and their averages.
I don't understand what you're saying.
So they tell you that average interest rates for a certain period is 10%. What figures did they use for that?
But we know the interest rate.
No. For example, let me show you something. When you go and read Bawumia's 73 page speech,
he said,
where he says that averagely they've done well relative to the fiscal deficits. Look at the figures he uses. He says that the fiscal deficit for 2018, he gives you 4.5. When that figure, government itself has abandoned it. He gives you a different figure for 2018, different from the figures they themselves presented to the IMF when they went for the $1 billion rapid credit facility and reported a full picture of our expenditure against revenue and, for that matter, the deficits. So the figures they are using are not before us.
Incorrect data.
Exactly. So if you use incorrect data, you get incorrect averages. Okay. So if you say that the average, you have done better in terms of averages and percentage, give us those specific figures year by year so that we can check you if you are relying on false figures. And then we will be able to tell you that your averages or percentages are 40. Either than that, the easiest thing to do is what he himself called for, and that is what I would do. What was the exchange rate at the time John Mahama was leaving office? What is the exchange rate now? When the dollar was selling at 3 cedis, 80 pesos under John Mahama, Bawumia tweeted and said, we should not be buying dollar at 3 cedis, 80 pesos. It was a mark of incompetence.
Was it Nana Akufo-Addo?
Both of them. 3 cedis, 80 pesos, both of them. Now you come into office and the dollar is 13 cedis and over. Then you want to tell Ghanaians that a dollar rate of 4 cedis is to $1. Your dollar rate of 13 cedis to $1 is better than Mahama's 4 cedis to $1. I mean, what are you doing to yourself?
So as I tried to explain,
what are you doing to yourself?
As I tried to explain last week, and there are two issues, and there's a reason why I read the Honorable Abner Asari's statement. Okay. So last week, as I was explaining, I said from 1 cedi to 2 cedis is 100%. But for 2 cedis, from 2 cedis to 3 cedis is 50%.
Don't even use those figures. Look, 1 cedis to 2 cedis, 100%, right? 2 cedis to 3.5 cedis.
Yeah, 75%.
75%.
Yes.
Realize that the nominal is 1 cedi, 50 pesos.
Yeah,
from 2 cedis to 3 cedis.
So if,
but the percentage is less.
So on the face of it,
that percentage is better than the nominal.
What you'll be trying to do if you just isolate it.
But the problem with that is that if I move something from 1 cedi to 2 cedi, the percentage is 100%. Now,
from 2 cedis to 3.5.
Now, it means that I have doubled it within a period.
Yes.
That's the mean of it.
Yes.
Now, on the same token, if I move it from 2 cedi to 4 cedi, I have doubled it. Okay, that's the mean of it. So the measures I'll put in place to avoid the doubling of the exchange rate is what we are talking about.
The measures should not be aimed at that. You cannot say that. It's good. You've made a point. Let me come in.
Let me just finish clarifying that because you've even I don't even know it's time to respond to that. But you can finish. Maybe I'll try to respond.
Okay. The point I'm making is that, Doc, percentages. That is a point you are also making. Percentages don't always tell the full picture. That's number one.
So I was going to conclude by telling you that this 1 cedi to 2 cedis and 2 cedis to 3 cedis, which you even amplified it better by making it 3.5, which in nominal terms is even bigger. But in percentage terms shows that
75%.
Now, after all these percentages, you're looking at the impact of what has happened on the economy.
Yes.
Now, even if in percentage terms, you say that from the percentage terms, it looks like, there's some 10% as against some 17%. But we are told that in a single year, 100 billion was added to our debt. 100 billion. That is the impact the effect of that 10%. And so, if you just concern yourself with 10% and 17%, it does not relate to the state of the economy and the impact of that on the economy. Because the biggest question you need to ask yourself is, how did that 17% impact on your economy, whether adversely or not? And how has the 10% impacted on your economy?
So in other words, you're saying that with John Mohammed's exchange rate, whatever percentage they want to give, at the end of the day, if you check its impact on their public debt, it was still sustainable. We're still able to service that debt. Now, the impact of your so-called percentage on your debt is so gargantuan that today your public debt has gone out of hands. You can't service it. That is one point. But let me even add another layer. Another point is that, Doc, when we are talking about indices like exchange rates, comparison of percentages is completely useless. Forex Bureau this morning, to buy dollar.
Stop going there.
I should go where?
You are not an importer. Stop going
so
there.
I should go where?
Don't
you
go there a lot to do what?
I've been renting. I just rented a space. I just paid for rent for our
you'll be arrested.
Forex Bureau.
You'll be arrested for going to pay rent in dollars.
But even they are giving road contracts in euros, road contracts.
No, they will.
And dollars.
You think in euros and
dollars.
But
once you peg it in dollars, you always pay the equivalent. So that is the problem. You understand? And they are paying a lot of things in dollars. But that was just by the way. Doc, the point is, when you want to buy safer, when you want to buy dollar today, you will buy it at the prevailing nominal rate.
Yes.
You will have to cough up 130,000 cedis to be able to get $10,000 today. 130,000 cedis and over to get $10,000. Whereas under President Mahama, you needed only 38,000 cedis, at most 40,000 cedis to get the same $10,000. If you were holding 5,000 cedis, if you were holding 5,000 cedis under President Mahama, it could get you at a rate of 4 cedis to the dollar. It could get you $1,250. Today, the same 5,000, you get $370.
Your incomes have improved.
What incomes? What incomes? Look at the rate of inflation. You understand? So, the livelihoods of Ghanaians, that's the point, have deteriorated. This is the key point. A deterioration in the living conditions of Ghanaians.
Okay, Sammy.
Doc, all the indices, even interest rates, averagely 2016, 25%. In 2022, it went to between 35% and 40%. Never use that figure, 30% anywhere. 2022, it went all the way to 38, 37. As I speak, 2023. No. Even interest, the treasury bill rate.
Yes.
This is a publication, my job online. Ghana maintains position with highest interest rates in Africa, 2023.
Which date? 2023.
Yes, 4th January 2024. It was published in January 2024.
But currently, it's...
Yes, but I'm saying that this is it for the year ending 2023. So it was published in January 2024. Yeah. And as at that time, it had eased. By December, interest rates had eased.
It was 20 what?
The 91-day treasury bill rate, 29.2%. Yeah. Treasury bill, not lending rate. Treasury bill. That is government's rate. 182 day, 31.8. So even if treasury bill is going for this rate, the normal lending rate, you check. Even now as I speak, banks are lending at 35% as we speak. And interest rates in Ghana, the highest in Africa. So please, there is no basis to do a comparison. That comparison is an insult to the sensibilities of Ghanaians, 800,000 of whom have been plunged into poverty in 2022 alone as a result of your recklessness. But even if we do that comparison, there is not even one index that you have performed better than the NDC. And finally, he said growth rate was 2.7% in 2016 and 6% under them. I don't know whether that was a hypothetical example.
13 to 16.
That is false. That's
what was the average?
What average are you talking about? 2016, the growth rate was 3.6%.
Yeah, I'm saying average.
So give us those figures you average.
So you just ask for this.
Give me the figures you average.
So
give me the figures you average. We ended with 3.6. That is what we know. Yeah. You 2023, you projected 1.5%. President Akufo-Addo in the SONA says you have 2.8%. It is still not better. So if you want to use averages for growth rate to say that you have done better, give us the figures you average.
We even did lower than 2.4 because we grew at 0.4 or something.
Exactly, but I'm saying that what figures did you average?
So gentlemen, just hold on. Dr. Kabir, I'll give you
what figures did you average
to deal with the issues that you have.
But no, actually, what figures did they use for the average?
He'll take notes.
You will tell us. You have all your time. You have all your time. You can easily go to 2015, 2014.
Let me quickly move to Zoom and have this conversation, and then I'll get back to you on this. I have Mr. Ben Boachi, who's the executive director of ASEP, on the line. The issues of the energy sector, especially the power subsector, has come up seriously, and I need to speak with him on the issue. He's our go-to person when it comes to the sector. Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Doc.
You're looking good as always.
Thank you.
Are we in Dumso?
I think now, depending on where you are and how you define it, you may say there is Dumso or not. But the reality is that we have shortfall in generation, and therefore consistently power has to be cut to actually distribute the limited generation capacity that we do have at this point. And that cannot be contested because we are not generating enough power to meet the needs of Ghana.
But Ben, that's not what officialdom, in this case ECG, is telling us. ECG has hinted that people will have problems with power at peak time. But then they refer to equipments and some transformers and all those things, and give us the reasons why we should expect those interruptions during peak time. I mean, in the last 2 or 3 years, this issue of generation and indebtedness and all that have come up. And there's been serious calls for a timetable, especially in the last 6 months or so. We have been denied a timetable because the position of officialdom is that we do not have Dumso. Whatever we are experiencing are just intermittent. There are a lot of expressions and adjectives that are used to describe what is actually happening. And so you zeroing on a shortfall in generation and all that is different from what we are being told by officialdom.
Yeah, I mean, for any power system, you certainly will have some localized problems. You will have transformers tripping. Particularly in our case, it could be much more rampant. But beyond that, it's a significant deficit from the generation side. And if you listen to one interview, from ECG, I mean, you don't need to be a superhuman to listen and hear the contradictions even within those interviews. At one point, they'll tell you, there's some gas shortage, and gas shortage obviously will lead to generation shortfall. Sometimes they will tell you some power plants are undergoing maintenance. That certainly will also lead to a shortfall. All right. So those inconsistencies points to what they should be communicating, that we are not generating enough. So regardless of what localized problems you may have, we still have a generation shortfall, which is deepening the crisis. If you say you are doing maintenance, I'm not sure you'll be doing the maintenance in the night where the power outages are much more significant, where we shut in sometimes up to 400, 500 megawatts of power. And that quantum of power gap, you cannot hide it, and that's why people, will see it. They will see the spread. And sometimes when you see the spread, you will know that it is not coming from the distribution system. If it is a localized problem, you can even look at through your window and you see the extent to which the shortfall is going. But if it is, within a big catchment area, then it tells you that a whole distribution substation has been shut down. And that really tells you that it has been deliberately taken down by the operators of the system. And what that happens is that, in the control room, GRICO sees every country, every part of the country. So the workers on duty at any particular time can monitor how much power we have and the rise in demand. So if power demand is growing above what we are supplying, the prudent thing to do is to take down some of the demand centers so that the system does not crash. They will not wait for the demand to rise above the supply to see a total collapse of the system. So they will take it down before that happens. So the discretion then now is with the workers who are in the control room to be deciding which part of the country should go off. So they also sometimes understand the quantum of power needed averagely within every what they call feeder. They know if, for example, the Tema Enclave is about 300 megawatts, Accra East is maybe 400 megawatts, or around the Pond area is 200 megawatts. If they see that the shortfall is around 200, 300, or 150, they decide where they can take down so that the system can still function. So it's such a wide discretion for those operating the control center to take down areas that they think should go down so that the system doesn't crash. And that is what has been happening. And that's why sometimes you hear ECG even blaming GRICO for some of the power cuts that we are seeing. But they cannot watch the system to collapse. They will have to take down some areas to ensure that the grid is stable, and then at least some power can go to other parts of the country without impacting the entire.
Ben, is this to suggest that these shortfalls are erratic? They are not planned. They are not known. And therefore, those on duty are confronted with a situation that was unknown, that was unexpected, and therefore a decision has to be taken.
No, I mean, the case of fuel shortfall has been known from the beginning of the year. We have always known that the gas supply is not enough at this point because we have contractually curtailed what can come from Nigeria, and therefore the quantum that will come from Nigeria. You know how much is being produced domestically. So if you put that together, you're not able to generate enough with the gas. You need to make liquid fuel available for other plants that can actually switch to liquid fuel to be able to generate that. If you don't have enough liquid fuels, then of course you cannot generate enough power. And we've known this from the beginning of the year. And that is what is actually happening.
Ben, if you say that we have contractually curtailed the supply of gas, what exactly do you mean?
Maybe let me try and summarize that. We had a contractual arrangement with NGAS to supply about 120 million standard cubic feet of gas per day to Ghana. At some point, we know that supply from Nigeria was also erratic, and we needed to put in place our own mechanisms from domestic production, and also at some point, government wanted to import LNG. So we went into that arrangement to cut the supply to around 30 million standard cubic feet of gas firmed, and which they can do upwards of about 60 SCF per day, so that we don't sign up to LNG and then Nigeria says they are ready to give us take or pay 120 SCF. So that curtailment actually firmed supply to around 30 SCF, and they've been doing around 50 60 SCF sometimes. So now you cannot compel Nigeria to do 120 contractually. And they also have not been giving that much gas. Unfortunately for us also, gas is becoming scarce in Nigeria because LNG is more expensive now. Europe needs it because of the Russian-Ukraine war. So they are better off exporting LNG, liquefying the gas and sending it to Europe to go and sell. So they are happy that now they don't have obligation to even supply 120 scarf per day. So that is something we're going to have to deal with. Unfortunately, also the LNG that we're supposed to bring in, which at the time we even criticized, we didn't need it. We needed to, emphasize on domestic production, regulatory processes to ensure that companies operating in Ghana can produce more gas. We can, process that gas and use it, because that was more secure than even thinking about import. Those processes, we failed to optimize them. We are in court with ENI, the most capable company in Ghana at this point that could have produced more gas for us. Their interest in Ghana has waned quite significantly because we are litigating rather than having a reasonable conversation to actually get them to produce more gas for us. So these policy choices is what has made gas supply short to Ghana, and therefore now we have to go and bring in liquid fuels. And the sad reality is that we don't have the money to be able to do that, because the power that is sold through ECG cannot recover the money to be able to even pay for the power that has been generated, let alone to procure a more expensive fuel to fire the power plant. So that is the reality, the summary of what the situation is.
Ben, how do you explain all this to a Ghanaian or anybody who's heard that we have excess capacity, we have too much power than we need, and yet you say that anytime there's a shortfall of 300 megawatts, we'll experience such interruptions in power supply? How do you explain that to a person who is trying to reconcile these two?
I think that the question of excess capacity hasn't even been explained well enough by those who claim there is excess. Excess capacity is not a straight line function, or is not a consistent event. At any particular point, you have to estimate how much power you need and what plants are redundant in that particular instance. So if, for example, a plant is going on maintenance, it cannot be deemed to be excess, even when the plant is available or it is still in Ghana. It doesn't qualify to be excess. A plant can only be excess when it is available, it is functional, and we don't have use for it. And therefore, we have to pay the contractor because we've signed take-or-pay agreement. So at every given time, the regulators and managers of the system have to account what that excess look like. And at this point, if you're accounting a company, like Asogli for now, cannot operate optimally, but will have to pay the take-or-pay obligations, all right? Because you have not given them fuel, and we have the fuel obligation, they will have some capacity in excess of what.
Right. I think that we had a blip with Ben's connection. We'll get back to Ben to finish up on this discussion. So let me come to you whilst we wait to reconnect to Ben. Yes. You wanted to make some.
Oh, you don't want to talk about Dumso?
Yeah, a couple of things, but I don't know whether the time will allow us to talk about them. But just to correct some few things.
Yes.
One, on the unemployment issue.
Okay.
The figure being used is produced from the annual household expenditure and income bulletin for last quarter. And that was the 14.7% unemployment
I say last
rate.
quarter.
For the last quarter, of last year, they are using quarter 3.
Yes, he said
quarter 3.
Yes.
So that quarter 3 estimate is what they are
September
putting at
2023.
Yes, at 17. The problem with that is that you cannot compare a quarter unemployment with a year end of unemployment. That's the problem we have.
You can't compare 3 quarters to 4 quarters.
To 4 quarters.
Okay.
That is the problem. 2, we've always raised the issue about.
But currently, the Ghana Statistical Service does not publish end of year unemployment. They only give you quarterly.
No, I guess the point is making is that when the Q4 comes, you have a full
you have
a
a
full picture of the year.
Picture of the
That's
year
what
unemployment.
So let's use the 2022 figures.
Yeah, we can.
There is an end of year, which is 13.9.
We can.
We
Yes.
can.
high,
Even in that report has detailed some reduction in what do you call it, in unemployment rate over the previous quarter in the same period in 2022.
But you can still find the annual.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So for such figures, they will move down and move up depending on the labor force participation. The labor force participation is the cardinal determinant of such how many people at that particular point in time are willing and really looking for jobs. So that figure will always depend on the quarter.
Yeah, but whichever way you look at it,
whichever way you look at it, unemployment rate.
No, it has different. That's what I say. To measure such figures, you have to use the international standard for country level.
So, can we resolve the?
No,
I'll come.
It's okay. So move on.
Yeah, for country level, cross country. Comparison.
All right.
And that's what the World Bank figures comes handy because they are able to model country-based specific.
You can't use World Bank unemployment because the minister.
I am saying
the minister for employment. Your minister for employment has gone to Parliament to tell our parliamentarians that the World Bank's definition for unemployment is different from Ghana's definition for unemployment. And that is why they don't use World Bank figures.
No, but I'm saying that
don't use
their
World Bank
definitions
figures.
are different, but they are able to do cross-level comparison of unemployment based on a model and based on country
based
level.
on different definitions.
Okay, so for that consists so that they did unemployment rate of around 6% in their tenure as a government from 2012 to 2016. But this government is doing an average of 4%.
World Bank unemployment figures in Ghana
6%,
because the Minister for Employment says that is wrong definition. It doesn't apply to Ghana.
Are you
Why are you doing something that your minister
are you suggesting that?
Because the was speaking.
Oh, I allowed you.
Dr. Kabiru,
have you forgotten how generous I was?
Are you suggesting that, irrespective of the fact that the Ghana Statistical Service tells us that by the end of Q4 of 2022, unemployment rate was 13.9.
Yeah.
We should jettison that and go and take a World Bank report.
No, I'm not saying you should
jettison
based on a different definition of unemployment.
Where the definition of unemployment by the Ghana Statistical Service and the definition of unemployment by the World Bank differs. Which one should we rely on? Is it our own Ghana Statistical Service?
So that is what I'm saying. When you are taking the Statistical Service report, you must read it and interpret it in its entirety.
Yes.
Okay.
But that's what he did. He used data from the same source.
I'm saying the report says the average rate of unemployment in the country has risen to 14.7% in the first 3 quarters of 2023.
Yes.
The number of unemployed youth aged between 15 and 20 rose from about 1.3 billion to over 1.2 billion to over
million
to over 1.3 million during the same period, with the rate among female considered higher than males. This is according to sources. So let me just skip to this. The survey further indicated the number of youth without jobs in 2022 only saw a dip in the second quarter of last year. The number of youth, and let me repeat, the number of youth without jobs in 2022 only saw a dip in the second quarter of last year. The sharp increase in unemployment rate for females between the fourth quarter of 2022 and the first quarter of 2023 has culminated in a wide unemployment gap, gender gap in 2023 relative to 2024. So within the same report, it is telling you that about 440,000 persons joined the labor force between 2023 first quarter and 2023 third quarter, of which more than 60% were employed during the period.
Do you know those who left the labor force according to the same report?
How many?
4.5 million.
So guys,
the labor force.
4.5 million. Ben is back on the line. So let me go back to Ben. Yes, Ben, welcome back. Hello, Ben. Okay, all right. We'll still reach out.
So on that, we'll come to them. So I think we have some time to talk.
We don't.
We don't have time.
Okay, it should be short. So make yours short. So I can also talk about it.
So, but he also talk about, nominal, trying to say that Fusini said something that nominal should be. Look, the problem with nominals, he's an economist. He's a finance person. He knows that when you are using nominals as compared to percentage, you are not able to account for, even for instance, the inflation, exchange rate. When you are measuring in dollars and you have depreciation of your currency and you're converting it in nominal terms, you are likely to have a huge GDP. Okay, but when you're using as a percentage of, you are using real GDP, you account for some of those things. So I'm sure Fuseni might have been coming from this particular angle of about nominal vis-a-vis.
Welcome back. Welcome back, Ben.
Thanks for having me. I think that all the telcos have a challenge this morning.
Anyway, so let's finish up on this issue of. In fact, let's move on to let me ask you this question, and I'll move on to something that you've researched and written extensively on, which is the cash waterfall mechanism, which is something that has been raised a lot in the last few weeks. But let me ask, in your candid opinion, do the people of this country deserve a timetable, a load shedding timetable?
No, I think it's important that we put out a schedule for people to follow, because otherwise, like I indicated, you leave that discretion to people who are on duty to decide who to take down, and that could be too wide for the Greco staff to just monitor and say, this is the area we want to go off today, when we actually know that, power supply will not be enough to meet demand. So on that score, you also need to get people planning their lives. Even if you don't give them, even if they get power, or you have enough at some point to supply, and you don't take it down, it's better for them to know that they were supposed to go off and they didn't, than just leaving them not knowing what is going to happen in the evening. So on that score, I think we would have to. And in the past, we have even put out a schedule for 100 megawatt supply cap. So how much more 400 megawatts, 500 megawatts? It's too significant not to give a schedule. And I think it's important that we put out a schedule for people.
From your sources in the industry, why would the ECG not want to put out a timetable?
That I don't even understand. I don't understand, because you have obligation to supply the power to the people. In most cases, we even buy the power before you supply it. It's prepaid. So if you are not able to supply, that you're not able to supply the power. The worst you can do is to just let people know that I'm unable to give you power today because I don't even have enough to give you. And I think that would be a fair thing to do than just to leave people not knowing when you're going to take the power, when indeed you know that you will take the power.
Okay. Well, it's a no-brainer to say that the ECG, by virtue of performance, is a not fit for purpose institution. Talking about the fact that we're told that it makes about 30% losses and can only account for probably maybe 70% of the power that is given to it. Now, this led to the creation of a waterfall mechanism to ensure that at least those who supply power to the ECG are able to be guaranteed some amount of money, monthly or quarterly or whatever. I believe that this waterfall mechanism is under the auspices of the Office of the Vice President. Yet, you wrote about this waterfall mechanism and you had some very, very damning revelations about its operations and the fact that we were not following it. The waterfall mechanism the cash waterfall mechanism has come up again as something which is really not operating according to the original purpose.
Yes, for us, we always thought that the cash waterfall mechanism was not a solution to the problems of the power sector. Because you want a power sector that is able to sell power, recover revenues, and pay everybody in the value chain. What the cash waterfall mechanism sought to do was to just pay at least something to everybody based on the collection, which for me was not, the solution to actually make sure that ECG is responsible to collect all revenues possible and be able to meet its obligations. However, it was able to at least ensure that the generators are getting something. The transmission companies also get some revenue, at least every month. So it was operational for some time. It worked to meet, those needs. even though the IPPs were still complaining that they were not getting revenue. But at some point, ECG decided that they won't comply, with the cash waterfall mechanism, and they thought they needed more money, and more control over their revenues, and they didn't comply. They insisted that the mechanism should be refined based on what proposals they had on the table to be able to keep some revenue. And I think the committee complied. They did an assessment and reviewed the mechanics around it for ECG to get more revenue. And still, the proposal they themselves brought up and was approved, they are still not complying. You're supposed to put all the money into a pot and then distribute per the formula that has been agreed. And they were still not complying with the formula. And that's what PRC has been highlighting. You check their report from August last year. They kept saying that ECG is not complying with the mechanism that has been approved for revenue distribution, in this space. And this consistently put pressure, not just on those who are acting in the state, but also on government to be able to find money from somewhere to meet the needs of the power sector. Remember when Asogli threatened to shut down? They had to find money to be able to stop them from shutting down. And increasingly, the sector players are beginning to appreciate that, government and ECG only understand shutdown. We saw WACO also shutting down. They actually went ahead to shut down the pipeline. They've done that on 2 occasions. And anytime they did that, quickly we were able to mobilize some funds to pay some money. If we allow that to go, then everybody in the value chain is now going to be threatening to get money when ECG collects and decides to use the money the way they want. And you track the expenditures of the company, and they are increasingly getting more inefficient in their prioritization of the funds. And you struggle to see when, that would stop for more revenues to go to the value chain for the system to be sustainable. As we speak, government, if you check all the reports, on the average, government has to commit about 250 million Ghana cedis every month to be able to meet some of the payment requirements in the sector. Beyond what it is paying for other gas supply, like the ENI one, which has become more or less like a foreign transaction. So ENI will go and then draw down on our LCs, we'll convert that to a loan, and then we'll pay within a year. And that has become a normal practice, which government is paying. Beyond that, we still have to pay almost 250 million Ghana cedis every month to be able to meet the sector payment requirements, which is really, really difficult for a country like Ghana that is struggling even before the IMF. And even when we put up the 250, there are still debt accumulation on the IPP side, because ECG has only committed to pay $43 million a month. $43 million is about 20% of what we should pay the IPPs. All right. So on that side, debt is still accumulating, and then government still has to put up 250 million every month to support ECG to survive. So the whole sector is unsustainable, and the entire country continues to be unsustainable if we're going to channel our resources to the power sector rather than actual socioeconomic development of the country.
Now, Ben, I need to let you go, but in a minute, what will make a country, a government, decide that it will continue with this ECG vehicle as it is? I mean, the board of the ECG is appointed by the government. Everybody sitting on that board is appointed by the government. The managing director appointed by the government. All these inefficiencies, this cash waterfall mechanism under the auspices of the vice president. You've told us that even this 43 million constitutes about some 20% of the payments due the IPPs. We have to look for some 250,000 elsewhere. The ENI drawdown on the LC and all that is also another issue. Who in his right senses will continue this kind of business?
No, I think from where we sit as policy analysts, we can only look at it from political economy analysis and political settlement perspectives, and only to say that if somebody is not benefiting from that chaos and that inefficiency, it will not continue. It would have been stopped long ago. So maybe perhaps what we need to do is to zoom in to see who is benefiting from the chaos, and then this application of funds and diversion of critical funds. I mean, you remember 2 weeks ago we were talking about even the exchange rate that ECG reported to the cash waterfall mechanism. You know, at the point when Bank of Ghana was quoting 11.4 to the dollar, ECG said they were buying dollar at 13.95. I'm not sure even the black market was selling dollar in October last year at that rate. But that was the rate they were buying dollar. And they reported that there has been some denial that they were not buying dollar at that rate. If they were not, then it means that they have to account for over 100 million Ghana cedis of revenue for that exchange variation or disparity. Who is holding them accountable for that revenue that we cannot trace based on just exchange rate variations? So for everybody to be quiet around these gross abuse, it tells you that the political system is benefiting from it. And those who are benefiting from it may be too powerful to control what is the waste that is happening in that space. So you can only explain it through political settlement lens and not any other thing. Otherwise, why would the budget of Ghana be paying more than $1 billion a year and still keep some debt in the books and nobody is acting, to stop that kind of bleeding?
Anyway, Ben, thanks for your time this morning, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you.
This Dumso matter, because I'm very sad. And I'm sad that after the visionary nation builder John Mahama solved and took the nation out of this problem of Dumso, the reckless Akufo-Addo Bawumia government has plunged this nation back into Dumso. I mean, there cannot be any question about the fact that Dumso is back. Dumso is not only back, it is back in full force. That is a reality. I mean, the calls I get, even me, yesterday my light was off for the greater part of the day. Whether it is Tamale or Koforidua or Takoradi or Kumasi, I mean, the complaints are all over. It's a nationwide problem. Dumso is back. And for those who continue to play the ostrich, continue to insult our sensibilities by lying that Dumso is not back, I want to tell them that President Akufo-Addo in opposition defined Dumso. And so we are working with Akufo-Addo's definition of Dumso. And this is a definition he provided in a tweet on the 30th of October 2012. And this is what he said. Mr. President, referring to then President Mahama, Mr. President, if the lies go out and come back on, isn't that Dumso? This was a direct quotation. So we know today that the lies keep going out and keep coming back on. And therefore what we are experiencing is Dumso. And this situation has persisted for months. Yet because of the dishonest leaders we have today, they are playing ostrich and they are in self-denial, denying the obvious. When Ghanaians are the ones experiencing it, and for that matter, they know the truth and the reality. And like Ben has explained, this Dumso we are going through is a money problem, because it's as a result of a generational shortfall created by financial problems. Government doesn't have money to pay the IPPs and the SOEs in the energy sector. If you check the validation report for the price, the waterfall mechanism for January 2024, we're supposed to pay the IPPs 514 million. We paid only 120 million cedis. We're supposed to pay the SOEs, VRA, Gridco, and so on, 300 million. We paid only 164. So they are broke, they are bankrupt, and that is what is causing this. And they shouldn't have been, having had over 24 billion Ghana cedis from ESLA, which Mahama bequeathed to them. But they are in this situation, and we are all facing the consequences because of the mismanagement. Doc, number two, very quickly. This Dumso we are going through
is the worst form of doom we have ever gone through.
Really?
I get sad when people try to do a comparison that one was sustained for a long time. This is the worst form, Doc. And I say so because of two simple reasons. It is worse to experience hunger at a time of a bumper harvest than to experience hunger at a time of drought. Between 2013 and 2015, when we experienced doomsday for a prolonged period, that was a time of drought because the power was simply not in existence. Today, they are complaining about excess power. Installed capacity is more than 5,000 megawatts. The power is there. This is a time of bumper harvest of power as a result of John Mahama's visionary leadership. Yet because of mismanagement, which has rendered the power sector bankrupt, we don't have power. Again, this is the worst form of doomsday because hitherto we had a timetable that could allow us to plan our lives. Today, this government is shedding load, and they have been shedding load between 300 megawatts to 500 megawatts for months. And yet they don't even have the decency to give the people of this country a load shedding timetable so that we can plan our lives. And Doc, finally, they should stop. Mr. Dubik Mahama, is that his name, the ECG boss?
Yes.
He should cut his arrogance and credit the people of this country
with
some respect. In the midst of his mismanagement, in the midst of this doomsday, he goes to sit in the studio of a TV station, and he has the effrontery to tell Ghanaians that the enjoyment of electricity is a privilege.
Are you not taking him out of context?
What context?
I'm told that.
This is not even recent. It's not even a recent.
What context?
I'm told that he made that statement within the context of the issues.
Yeah,
but see, what context? What context can make?
Where
you
people,
can never.
Yes.
Look, you can never. No contest can justify a statement
no, you don't get it.
by the head of ECG that electricity is a privilege.
The point I'm making is that if people do not watch, first of all, the question that he was asked, the reason for which he made that statement, and then you just hear that he said that
but Doc,
you might take him differently.
I get it, but boy,
I'm not saying that his answer to that question was the best answer.
But that is what I'm saying. I'm saying that if, for example, people are misusing lights or they are disconnecting electricity or whatever, your answer to that cannot say that electricity is a privilege.
Okay.
It's an essential commodity necessary for human life.
Okay.
So if you have that mindset that electricity is a privilege, we will be in this mess. It's not a privilege. That's my point. No matter the question he was asked, he shouldn't have said so.
And please don't interrupt.
On the issue of doomsday, I think that Mr. Benjamin Boakye has stated clearly that depending on how you want to term it, whether to term it a doomsday or whatever, that was his opening remark because of the circumstances around this current intermittent power outages. Whatever the nomenclature you want to give it.
It says that Ghanaians deserve a timetable.
No, he says that, but that's what I'm clear. But on the issue, the first question was whether or not we are back to doomsday.
Yes.
And his answer was clear.
What is doomsday?
Yeah, so I mean, that was it. He said depending on. So that's, I don't want us to go into the...
doomsday simply means on and off.
Yeah,
yes.
So I'm saying that I'm not even really to go into the nomenclature.
So don't even go.
Of what it is now. The problem we are facing now is that
which language do you
Ghanaians speak? We speak Mamprole.
Mamprole?
Yeah.
What is on and off in Mamprole?
Nyuan, Pihika Nyuan.
Eh?
Pihika Nyuan.
Pinka Nyuan. Okay.
So the issue is Ghanaians are facing some intermittent power outages. The EC has come to explain. I mean, the ECG has come to explain. Another group of people think that the explanation does not suffice. In other words, they think there was some generational deficiency or deficit. They are not able to tell us how much of the deficit is as a result of generation. I would have expected that they
Ben said between 300 and 500.
Between 300, but from the EC's own showing, we have installed generation capacity at peak of 2,500 megawatt, 2,500 megawatt. However, at peak consumption, we are doing 2,400 megawatts of power. Clearly, there is a surplus of 100 megawatt of power. And you even pose the question of excess capacity.
Yeah. But Ben explains that for some of the plants, like Asogli, we are under contractual obligation to provide fuel. So although Asogli might have, for purpose of this discussion, let's say 300 megawatts, if you must provide fuel for the 300 to become operational, you are not providing the fuel. Obviously, you can have capacity of 2,500, but you cannot rely on it because the fuel to make it 2.5 is not available.
Yeah, so we have installed capacity of certain plants. And we have the, what you call, generational capacity.
I own a car. If there's no petrol in the car, it's useless.
I get it. The difference between what you have and what you produce is what we term excess capacity. Most of the plants are not in full capacity because of the demand. Our consumption demand of electricity is lower than what they can produce. And because of he explained the take or pay agreement, we are forced to pay for that. That has been a different discussion we've had here, and we are not going to. But the issue at ECG with the price, cash waterfall mechanism, is actually government generating the revenue. And let's commend Mr. Dubik Mahama. Under his tenure, ECG has had significant improvement in revenue collection by the measures he put in place.
What about how has the revenue collection impacted the cash waterfall mechanism?
I'm coming to that. The stability we have had significant improvement, and we are all playing ostriches when this issue about privatization of ECG came up. And you mentioned you are not answering my question. I need to go. You dovetail into that.
I said the improvement in the revenue.
He has mentioned
of ECG. How has that improved the cash waterfall mechanism?
He explained rightly so that the cash fall, cash fall.
I'm sure you read the PRC report.
I have been in meetings that this.
In fact, the cash waterfall mechanism is under the vice president.
No, he instituted this in collaboration with others, stakeholders in the industry. Okay, and he convinced me then to discuss that as a novel approach to addressing the financial situation in the energy sector. Okay, we know that. And he's not running away from that. Okay, he's not running away from that. But I'm saying that he has admitted, Mr. Boche has admitted that the system has been working until ECG raised some issues, very genuine issues.
And the issues were rectified. For them, whatever they presented was adopted, yet.
That is his part. That is his part of the story. No, I'm saying that is his part of the story.
The PRC report vindicates that position.
PRC report,
yes,
somehow speaks to the
PRC is the regulator, not so.
I know PRC is the regulator, and I know Mr. Dr. Aka.
Emphatic is here. I can read it to you.
No, you don't have to read it because I'm making this my time. So, but let us credit them. But when the issue
credit who?
ECG. For the work done in raising the revenue, but for the improvement in the revenue and some payment made, despite it being inadequate.
But doctor,
that's why it being adequate.
Doctor,
our situation would have been worse.
Doctor,
and their situation they experienced in Dumsor for 1 full year without power would have had a repetition of same here. Okay, and the ECG has a plan. They have some 350 or 330 transformers. Which have intermittent problems. Okay. Why are we not?
When are we getting the timetable? Can you tell us that?
Well, there's no need. If there's a need,
let me doom you.
If there's a need for timetable,
thanks for joining me. Up next Metro Sports.
Okay.
Doom him and so.
Ghana is brought to you by MTN.
The Bible is not a textbook like chemistry textbook. It's a spirit. There are no controversies. Righteousness is defined by God. What he says you are is what you are. There's no teaching in the scriptures that will be left untaught.
Join the Good Life Devotion with Dr. David Bin